Chris, we are live. Back at the gym.
The true BJJ and Brews.
The true BJJ. Well, we'll get it. Here
we go.
What? Oh, wait. I'll do a fake one.
There we go.
There
we go. Victor, happy belated birthday and congratulations on new purple belt.
Thank you. And thank you for the beer, man.
You're welcome.
This is crazy.
Happy birthday,
this is crazy
man.
good.
I had to save it for a special occasion, and it was a very, very special occasion.
So what beer did you get him?
So I got him a Dogfish 120. So Dogfish makes, you'll see 60 Minute everywhere. 90 Minutes, the 9 or 10% alcohol one. 120 they make once a year, allocated out to stores.
Where are they located? The brewery, where they located?
So interestingly, they originally started in Delaware and had opened up another brewery in Virginia, which is weird. And they recently, I think in the past year and a half or so, got bought by Sam Adams. So now Dogfish is owned by Sam Adams. They're not they were my favorite brewery. I mean, I don't want to get all like snooty about like microbrews and stuff, but like they were my favorite brewery. But now that they're
with
part
the
of
man.
They sold out.
They've sold out to the man.
But they still make excellent beer. So
dude,
right?
This tastes amazing because my taste goes from like Michelob Ultra to Bud Light to Corona. So this is like a different.
This is the beer.
It's really good.
It is.
It is really good.
It's a once-a-year beer. It's like 12 or 13% alcohol.
I took a really big sip when you first gave it to me, and I'm like, oof, that was heavy.
You need to let it warm up a
sip.
little more. So what's that?
It's something you want to sip.
Yeah. You don't guzzle that down. So, but so congratulations, man, and happy birthday.
Thank you, man. This is awesome.
You've been fighting for a long time, and I abide by the law, my friend.
Chris was my biggest advocate against underage drinking. It was amazing.
But it paid off, right?
It did pay off.
If you got suckered in and did it before that, nah, man.
It wouldn't have been as good. This is like a worth the wait type of deal.
Yourself
he made it to the top of the mountain
for the proper beer.
Metaphorical.
Maybe we'll get like a Utopia one day, the Sam Adams one. That's like $400. Maybe we'll get that at some point.
Yeah, when our subscriber count goes over 1,000.
When that ad revenue starts kicking in.
Yeah, when the ad revenue starts kicking in.
Utopias for all.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to invite that'll be a big blowout. That'll be a big blowout. So I believe we are doing episode 42.
42.
Man, that's almost a year.
I know, that's crazy. Like we've been pretty consistent.
We're 10 weeks away.
A hobby that turned into a living, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. So like, subscribe, share. We're on all the podcast platforms.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Exactly.
Can I curse in here?
Is that what?
Oh, yeah. This is fully explicit.
Smash that motherfucking like button.
There we go.
Is that the millennial thing? I've not heard the smashing.
Oh, that was just because Armand and his thing. He videotaped all these guys hammered saying that, like, smash that motherfucking subscribe button.
We're not calling out Dylan Danis though.
No.
Like, let's calm down.
Dylan Danner.
Dylan
Daniels.
That was really funny. That was pretty much the highlight of that video. That was so funny.
that was the best.
I couldn't watch any more of that, but anyways.
So, I want to get Victor on because Victor recently got promoted to purple.
Yeah, man.
What are your thoughts on being
well-deserved.
purple? Do you feel like you've earned it? Do you feel like you gotta fill into the role? What are your thoughts? What were your thoughts?
This was a little bit different than when I got to blue. Because when I got to blue, I felt pretty confident, pretty good about it. But this time around, I feel like I have to grow into it. I don't feel quite, I mean, obviously, you have to trust the process, like we always say. But this one is certainly, I feel like I have to grow into it rather than feeling confident that I'm already at that level. But yeah, man, excited. It looks cool. I think it's my favorite color.
It looks good on the black.
It looks cool on the black gi, yeah.
It looks good on the black.
To Nikki.
Did you cry
Young
at all?
Nick, give me a free gi, which is great.
Did you tear up?
I did not quite yet.
Well, he did get you though. It wasn't the belt. It was what he said before the belt.
Oh yeah, that was crazy, and I was like,
you want to say it? Or do you want me to say it?
What did he say? I missed it. So
yeah, because Chris wasn't here.
I was too busy crashing into my garage.
It was a small promotion. It was a small promotion, like in comparison to other ones.
No black belts, just Paul.
Yeah, so, I got thrown only once, which was great. I was really happy about that.
So do you want me to say it? Or do you want?
Yeah, you can say it because I feel weird saying that.
Okay,
It's just like a weird thing.
So you know how Paul gives just a short spiel before every promotion, like expounding upon some positive traits about that person and why he's proud to promote them. And in Victor's case, he said, "I've gone hiking with this guy, and I trust him. You know, when we're going hiking, there's situations where, hey, I might be tied up on a rope, and Victor's the kind of guy where, you know, I trust him on the other side of that rope, so I trust him with my life up on the mountain.
Literally with that's awesome.
And
that was heavy.
Yeah.
That was
so
heavy.
he said that, and they said, Victor, come on up and get your purple belt. And yeah, that was cool.
Awesome, man.
That was
That's
heavy.
That's awesome.
You're always expecting a jiu-jitsu compliment, and that was like beyond jiu-jitsu. And that was, you know, that's one of those things that you have to, you know, earn it, as, you know, every day, you know, kind of. But yeah, that was a little heavy, and yeah, you know, just kind of going into that.
How were the lashings?
Oh, there's a bunch of hard ones. He hit me really hard at the beginning, and Mark hit me. Oh, Mark always hits people.
Well, yeah,
hard.
he just marked.
But again, it was a small promotion, so it wasn't too bad. I think about one that we had. I think it was because we had Fusion over, and there was a bunch of people here.
That was when you got.
That was your black belt. Yeah, Chris, that was your
God.
black belt. That was huge, and I was like, yeah, fuck that.
Mike Perry got striped up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was your
future father. Congratulations to Mike Perry.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. It's incredible to me to watch somebody who's literally. I remember the first day you came too, right? Like it was like the
I was wearing sweatpants
3 years ago or something, right?
Yeah, it was Irma. I think.
Was it Irma?
I think it was Irma.
We were all rolling in the dark. I had brought in
fun.
like one of my emergency flashlights to like light up the room.
And we had an iPad.
And
like
an
with
iPad
speaker,
with Paul's iPad, mind you, blasting Carly Rae Jepsen, "Call Me Maybe," in the background.
I remember that, yeah.
And
man,
you came and you sat and you chilled and you watched. It must have been 2 hours of us rolling. JB, me, Jovan.
Oh, so that was like
there was
you dropping into the gym.
Well, so
I think you took a trial or something, right?
Well, yeah. So I came to a Saturday. So the week before, I came on a Thursday. No, actually, no. I came on a Friday, and they were sparring, obviously. And you were sparring. I remember on a Friday night sparring.
Oh my god!
And I was like,
that was a long time ago then.
And I was like, what's going on? And then so Caroline Hill passed for me, of all people. And then I came back on a Saturday, and gym taught class, and I thought that was, you know, it was cool. I don't remember what we were doing. I remember we were doing inverted, and I thought that was a little weird. But, you know, it's cool.
The wrestler's like, what? We're going inverted? What?
Yeah,
wait, who was teaching class?
Jim.
Oh, he's doing that fucking drill where like
when we're standing on the knee, on one person standing up, and then I'm going inverted, and I'm like inverting around your legs. You know what I'm talking about?
It's like the reverse deli.
we're doing that.
Okay, yeah.
We're doing that.
I think I showed him that actually.
It was super weird.
Anyway,
at the time, it was super. I was so confused. I was wearing sweatpants. It was really weird, but.
At least you weren't wearing basketball shorts. That's the thing that
I was thinking.
I don't need to see your nuts like day 2.
I was thinking. Well, I want people to be able to grab my pants because that's like the best I can do for now. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was fun, and then, oops, sorry, and then after that, Muay Thai, and then just the rest of history. Chilling, you know.
Dude, I knew you were a special kid when you came and you literally fucking hung out with us in the dark. Doors open, no fans.
And you were what,
hot
19 at the time?
I was 18.
18?
I think, yeah.
That was
18
awesome.
because 3 years.
I just turned 18 at the time.
And you had actually, you had Googled other gyms, right? Like you Googled, because you live out like far away from here.
I do live out pretty far.
But we happen to be the first?
Yeah, so I came here when I was, I wrestled in high school for my freshman to my sophomore year.
Where'd you go to high school?
Yeah, what was it?
Where'd you go to high school?
Celebration.
Okay.
All the way in Kissimmee.
We did installation in there, by the way, so I just...
Shout out to
General Installation Company.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe
oh, yeah, dude, you know what's funny? And I'm segue. I saw Ryan...
Ryan Martman, right?
In my school one time. And he was like a couple months after I started training. I think I was like a 2-stripe.
Oh, so he was actually probably working for
and I was walking to my like third period. And then I saw this redhead guy walking up in like the back. Because there's a back... Like, there's the front of the buildings and the back of the buildings, and you can go from the back of the buildings. And I was walking with my buddy, and I saw this redhead guy, and I was like, I know that dude. And I was like, all right. So I followed him because I was like, I need to see if this is this guy. And I saw him, and I saw his face, and I was late for class. And I saw his face, and I was like, oh, shit, it's Ryan.
You're like, that guy's a black belt.
No, I got really excited. It was like, whoa,
was he black belt
small world.
Or was he a brown belt?
No, he was a black belt.
He was
a black belt. Small world.
But so you were Googling schools.
Yeah, so I was Googling schools because I wanted to train jiu-jitsu before wrestling, but I couldn't get to a school at the time, so I wrestled first. But by the time I got a job and a car and stuff, I started Googling schools, and And so this one was the farthest one that I kind of narrowed down to. So I was like, oh, let me just go there, get it out of the way first, and then I'll just.
You started
choose.
the furthest away, right? And
Yeah, because I
work your
wanted
way
to get it
back?
out of the way
Yeah.
and then figure out which one of the closer ones. I think
Yeah.
at the time it was
Probably Black
Gracie
Box.
Bahakasimi, and then the other one was, I think Black Box
ATT
was
Black
closer
Box,
to me.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna get this one out of the way. So
Were
I
you only looking at ATT schools?
no, I just
No,
googled.
because he said Gracie Baja too.
I just googled Jiu-Jitsu, like Jiu-Jitsu in Orlando and
Yeah.
stuff. So I got this one.
first on the list.
Yeah,
Good,
so
good SEO.
this was just the farthest one, and I was like, I'm gonna get this one out of the way first, and then I'll just figure out which one I want to choose between the closer one to me, ones to me. And so I came here, and yeah, that I loved the place. I loved Coach Paul and everybody here. You know, and just kind of sold me. You know, from the first day, you guys were grappling in the dark. I saw people grappling and some people doing Muay Thai in the dark.
Yeah,
and
that
I
was a
like-
ridiculous day.
And it was like everybody was sweaty and just working and fucking flashlights here and iPad there, and I was like, you know what, I dig this. This is cool. I like this, and that's it. That was
you know
that,
why?
that sold
Because
me.
any other fucking gym would have shut down that day.
Oh, here we go.
They would have
Real-
been
the
like,
real shit, boy.
You know what? We can't handle this hurricane. You know what ATT Orlando does? Fuck Irma.
Yeah, no, that was
I
cool.
would-
That was cool. I dug that, and I was like, you know what, I like this place. And the next day, again, I came to class, and it was awesome. And yeah,
That's awesome,
now we're
man.
here.
What were the like earliest lessons you remember? I remember you telling me like early on you learned about like you turn into the choke. Was that one of them? Like if someone's doing a rear naked, you look into it. What were some of like your earliest lessons?
Well, my very first one, which was amazing, was the elbow escape. That was my first thing.
Your first one was the elbow
I heard
escape?
your name too.
Wait, are we going live with
we
some
have-
breaking news over
we
there,
have-
Paul?
Well, yeah, we have some
Breaking news? You want to go live? This will go up this weekend.
Got him.
We got our fourth mic. So we're just calling out to Coach Paul in the distance.
Get over here.
They're chickening out.
What are you doing?
Say it.
We can't hang.
Say it.
Well,
Explicit.
we'll have to
explicit.
tell that. We'll have to tell this story offline to Chris.
So that's a story
This got
for-
the E tag
We'll have
real
to tell
quick,
this
didn't it?
offline to Chris.
Oh, you didn't
Chris
know
is
this
on-
story?
You don't know this.
You didn't know
No,
this
I do
story.
know the story.
Oh, you do
Oh,
know
you
this
do
story.
know.
I do know the story.
Oh, he does. Chris does know the story.
I do know the story,
Word gets
so-
around. Chris hasn't been here for like a month, and word still gets around.
It's actually been longer than a month. I've been counting days. So
Yikes. That was bad.
So everyone's listening. What the fuck are they talking about?
don't
I'm gonna-
y'all worry about it.
I'm going to tell the first half of the story, which is one of our students, a white belt, was out with a group of us from the gym, and
fucked up.
unsuccessfully, while drunk, fended off a friendly attacker.
A random dude that's never
A
trained.
friendly
before.
attacker ended up. A
got
friendly
you.
attacker
Just throw
ended
him.
up mounting our white belt. I think of 2 stripes, maybe 3.
Did he get a stripe taken away?
I would have taken. I was like,
As
man,
a black belt, I vote towards stripe
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, we definitely need to. We need to work in that street jiu-jitsu a little more. So
Yeah, well, that was
a side thing. So anyway, back to Victor.
So you stuck with it, man. And your elbow escape, your earliest memory, you loved it.
that was my first lesson, and I don't know, but the next 3 to 4 lessons after that were just all defense, and I was like, fuck yeah, this is amazing. So yeah, but I'm pretty certain the elbow escape. I mean, besides the whole inversion thing.
Besides the inversion thing, that had probably nothing to do with the class that day. By the way, Jim,
but
we still love you.
I'm pretty. Oh no, I fucking Papa Jim, bro.
I
But
miss Jim.
I'm pretty. I
actually.
do miss him
Jim,
too.
come in here, man.
I do
We
miss him
missed you,
too,
man.
But I'm pretty certain that yeah, the elbow escape was my first lesson, which was pretty cool.
Which is like that's the best lesson. The elbow escape is like magic.
because you
right?
cover everything. You cover keep your elbows in. You shrimp. You do all these things.
That's
you
like
get
the,
legs.
essence of jiu-jitsu, right? Like that should be the first lesson for everybody. Because it looks fucking magical when you're like, I'm smashed, and then you're out of it.
which was really great because being on top felt well. I'm not going to say familiar, but
How long did you wrestle?
it didn't. Well, so I'm not going to say 3 years because seasons are like not whole years.
Right, yeah.
So I would
Did you
say
do USA
You weren't,
wrestling
yeah,
in
because
between?
you weren't training all year. You were
No,
training
it's not
all
yet.
You
year.
Well,
didn't
I
do
mean,
like the club wrestling after?
Some guys, no, I did not do that. So some guys,
You're not
obviously,
dedicated, Victor.
I wasn't dedicated. I wasn't a dedicated wrestler.
So,
I was a pretty shitty wrestler.
I'm drunk.
As the more dedicated wrestlers in our students can tell you, I'm pretty easy to take down. But
Taking a sip. Come on.
I would say 3 seasons. Dude, this is really good. I'm gonna get.
It's warmer now, so you'll enjoy
Chris
it.
is encouraging.
That's a good
There
sip.
it is.
This is amazing. I gotta tell you, Chris. Now you're on my team. Now, this is good. I feel good.
So when you're
Because
when
I'm
you're
team
doing
responsibility.
when you're doing the elbow escape, do you think it made things easier that you had an idea of what to do from wrestling once you got out? Because I feel like a lot of people like, oh, I elbow escape, and now I could come up to a single, but people don't know what coming up to a single is. If they don't have
Yeah. Because
So
again,
it connected something you didn't know with something you did know.
yeah,
Okay.
and then also you come up a lot of times to that dogfight position where the guy's like whistling hard.
Yeah.
He knows what you're doing. So that was something that I liked. But
So what?
yeah, no, and very quickly I found myself enjoying being on my back and stuff, which is like
I remember our first roll. That was when we had the fence still on the mat, and we were like near the fence side, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of flailing around.
you know what, I don't remember as well our earlier experiences.
Yeah, I just kind of flailed around there, but yeah, then we just started training together, and now we're like,
So my question to both of you, now that I have you sitting next to each other,
Oh, boy.
is
Now I'm holding
when did
Noah's
you
hand.
guys become boyfriend?
That's the thing, I don't know, because I mean,
At
think
what
about
point? Cause like,
I
when
mean, it
did
had
this
to happen
happen?
pretty early. I think
like who asked who out?
No, I think the way I look at it, so I'll tell my side, then Victor can then his perspective on it. I feel like it's just one of those things where we both had previous sports backgrounds, and we both, I think, had a similar approach and mindset to the training where we're like, when it's like do 2 and then 2 in terms of reps, like, okay, I'll do my 2, you do your 2. Let's just try and get as many reps in. So I think there was commonality in our mentality, and obviously he was
Who got
farther
here
ahead.
first?
He was here first.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he was like he was ahead of me by at least 3 months, if not 4,
Your dog
around
okay,
that.
man?
So he
okay?
obviously knew more at the beginning, and he's still ahead of me in that respect.
Yeah.
But the I was able to sort of get my footing and kind of get some awareness out there. So I think for me it was kind of like I was able to catch up enough early on to make it a little more equitable, but the main thing was kind of our similar mentalities. That's what I think happened.
I mean, like, how much of your wrestling experience because like in wrestling you have like a training partner, right? Like you basically drill and stuff with them the entire time. How much of that were you seeking in jiu-jitsu? Because like here it's like, I mean, I think it sort of like ends up being that way where you just sort of end up with the same person all the time.
Well, early
But
on,
I don't think it's like
early on it's a little weird, especially I think well, at least in my school wrestling was not huge because I mean other sports, more popular sports, and get a little more attention and funding and stuff, but you, in the sense that you're drilling with people very close to your weight class,
yeah.
so I'm never drilling with
You know, with Jason Hayes.
with Mike Sahibi or
Yeah,
so, but
That's an awesome scramble today, by the way.
oh, thank you, Mike. I'm not gonna say it. He knows what happened, but I'm not gonna say it. But honestly, I wasn't really expecting, because I had Googled Jiu-Jitsu before, and I'd seen Jiu-Jitsu and I'd seen the UFC and stuff like that, but I wasn't really expecting a lot of similarities. I was just kind of, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna grapple, and I think the best thing that having wrestled did for me when I came here is that I was used to what grappling felt like, because a lot of people are like,
They get weirded out.
yeah, it's a weird feeling. So I think once you're used to that, and obviously once you become a really good wrestler, which I wasn't, then you can apply some of the things that you did in wrestling to here. But again, the best thing that having wrestled did for me when I came was that I was used to kind of what it felt to grapple and stuff.
Yeah.
And having somebody, quote unquote, violently trying to enforce like their will onto you when you're grappling and stuff.
Trying to violently violate
That's
you.
what I said. That's what I said, quote unquote, because you're not really violent, but
No.
you know what I mean. It's like what it feels to
assertively.
yeah, you know what it feels to grapple, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the best. Because he was in a weird feeling, because I obviously being on my back and stuff like that. But again, that's something that wrestling was not such so ingrained in me that being on my back felt super crazy. Like after like a couple weeks, I was like, okay, I understand that this is not terrible. This is like I can do things from here, you know.
So how far along was it before you started helping teach kids class?
Well, Coach Bull approached me with helping out to teach the kids class when I was a 4-stripe white belt, like right before the promotions.
2-stripe white belt?
4. 4-stripe white belt, right before I got my blue belt, which I was like super humbled and super like, why are you asking me to do this? I'm 19 years old. But
that's part of the reason, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a lot more relatable to the kids.
Yeah, but it was such an honor, you know. I mean, I don't even know how to put it in words. It's just I was super humbled and super excited to do it. And when I got my black belt, Jesus Christ.
Oh, Freudian slip.
We're gonna edit
that one out.
We're gonna edit that out. But yeah, when I got my blue belt, I started teaching, and it was a little weird at first because he was like, you know, you have a bunch of children, and I'm like, you know.
You got really good at self-defense curriculum, though.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Like that's the thing. It's like you got a lot of reps.
Which I think was really cool because we
like
did
defending haymakers and headlocks.
One thing
exactly.
One thing that Coach Paul was really adamant about with the kids class is that we have a heavy attention on the self-defense because that's really what you want. I mean, if you have a kid that competes,
guys, Gracie, bulletproof jiu-jitsu, guys. Instill confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Instill confidence. They can defend themselves. They feel more better. And guys, hero hoodie. Okay, never mind.
They're really good at. By the way, like I've seen that stuff. They're very good at structuring games.
I say that in tongue in cheek, but you know, it's a great. If more kids do jiu-jitsu and they feel safe,
God,
I mean,
like,
yeah. And I think we're all in agreement. Jiu-jitsu is good not only for the people being bullied, but also for bullies, because bullies that learn jiu-jitsu,
you get
more often than not,
get their asses whooped by some kids.
Stop being bullies.
Yeah.
They don't use that power to be the worst bully. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I think I thought that was great. I mean, it makes sense. We had a couple kids that competed and stuff, and they were doing some other things. But I think essentially what the parents want to see is that we're drilling things like, well, what if some kid just kind of throws a punch at my kid? Is he gonna know what to do? You know, so that was cool. So I got really.
And I think that what was good for you personally is that we cover self-defense of that nature, like basically jiu-jitsu against an untrained opponent, if we're lucky, once or twice a year, and you're getting reps at that every day that
was
you're
cool.
teaching. So
that was cool.
That actually helped grow that knowledge base for you.
Yeah, that was cool. The self-defense stuff was really, really cool for the kids. And yeah, for me, I was sometimes, and I will talk to you, Noah, about this. Sometimes he will be explaining something because when he teaches the kids, he breaks down things in a lot more detail than he does for the adults, because obviously they're like ranging from 5 to 11 years old. So you break things down. So I'm sitting there pretending that I'm like, yeah, of course, kids, come on, you know this. But I'm paying attention to Coach Paul because he's saying things that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So that was cool, because I'm kind of getting the same detailed breakdown that these kids are getting, which is great. I'm not. But yeah, no, that was fun.
What's the best way to learn?
Teach
things.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it was good. And then of all things, this guy, he's got his purple with no prompting, is like, all right, guys, let's line up. Coach Paul's finishing up Muay Thai. He'll be over here. We'll get you guys warmed up. So.
Oh, yeah.
So the joke between Victor and I is that when he was officially kind of working here, he was a little more on the reluctant side to, just because, and we've talked about this. It's like, I get it. To me, it comes from a place of real humility where it's like, look, I really shouldn't be up there in front of the class, especially when they're guys that are higher belts than me and stuff. Even if I'm lining up next to Paul as, quote, the assistant, there's still like a comfort level there where I'm kind of like, I don't want to be disrespectful to the people that have been here before, and I get it. It comes from a good place. So there's a little more reluctance when that was part of his duty, but now, obviously the pandemic happened and things had to be shrunk down, and Victor just gets to train, which I know he enjoys a lot.
I do.
Just train, bro.
That's great, isn't it?
It's just train. So when there's an opportunity unprompted, Victor's like, yeah, man, I'll do it.
crazy how the human psyche works. When it's not an obligation,
call it-
I'm like,
when it's not
hell
obligated,
yeah.
it's great to do. When it's obligated, like I don't do it.
I call that
Which again,
pulling a mark.
and I was like, that makes me feel super selfish because,
When
like
you
I
start
said,
handing out belts, though,
like I said, when
Yeah, are you gonna start strafing people up?
are you gonna be like,
hell
are you
no.
gonna be like
What?
standing there at like promotions now, like
Hell no.
trying to put a stripe on somebody?
How dare you? Hell no. Like, it still feels weird. Like, and actually this happened yesterday. Raymond got, I think, second or third stripe in his white belt. And, gets his stripe, he bows and stuff and shakes Coach Paul's hand. So when he comes to me and he's first to bow, I'm like, nah, bro, don't do that. It's weird.
Just because just because it happened that class that Victor had started the class.
Yeah, and I was lining
and
up.
because we had to split people up, Victor and myself were kind of helping out the white belts a little bit. Victor ended up lining up in front of class, and there happened to be a stripe being given out. Actually, 2 stripes.
Yeah,
he got
I think-
2
yeah, I think
stripes.
so.
So then,
Yeah, you do.
so
Of course
yeah,
you shake your hand.
yeah, I know.
Of course you do, right? Like,
Yeah. But I'm like, dude, just I'm like, just dab me
Sensei
up.
Victor.
Just dab me
Oh,
up. Just dab me up, man. But no,
it's weird. It never goes. That feeling never goes away.
So the in your class, let's just talk about the guys who went from blue to purple, because that's kind of my. Well, I know I can talk about everyone. Adam got his blue. Fabian got his blue. Long
Adam.
overdue.
Oh, Adam Majika.
Fabian
Yeah.
was
Mohica?
Fabian was my first Noah. Fabian was my
Yeah,
training partner for Noah.
Fabian.
I mean, like those
Yeah.
first 3 months. Yeah.
Fabian's a good dude, man. I'm glad he
Shout
he
out
got
to
his
Fabian.
blue. Yeah, right out. And then you, Mike, Nick, and Pedro.
Yeah.
I was hoping to have Mike and Nick like all on with you, like the 3 of you guys. Well, and Pedro, but Pedro is very like transient, so we never know when we get
He's
him.
definitely that kid's all over the place.
Good old Pedro. So yeah, man, it was a good promotion. I think in a way I don't know how you feel about it. I think you were in a way probably fortunate that it was a very intimate and small promotion. It's not like we want to make a big deal out of it. This December's promotion, I suspect, is going to be massive, because I think Fusion is going to be doing their promotions over here as well.
Yeah, I think
So
it's gonna
when
be a
we
little bigger.
combine gyms
Oh,
and
fuck,
do,
it's another
it's gonna be a 7-hour.
God damn,
You know
I've got to
what?
stand up front too,
pack a
don't
lunch,
I?
bro. Pack a lunch.
God damn it.
Just wear a fanny pack up there, man. Wear
Do you
a
know
fanny
what's
pack,
amazing?
you know?
This one was supposed to start like at 11. That's what
It
Coach Paul
started
said.
at 10:30.
Well, it was supposed to start at 10:30,
and it started at 11, and it was done by 12:05.
Yeah, and we still finished super early. That's
Yeah,
how
it was
small
awesome.
it was, and it was great. I loved it. I mean,
At
if
that
you-
point, at 12:05, we were taking pictures
Because
of people.
Paul doesn't do a lot of weird speeches.
But I think most people that listen to you guys know that Coach Paul has in promotions a tendency to not start at the time
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
week.
oh,
So
yeah. That's why I was planning on showing up at noon.
I know
So-
you never.
veteran
show,
move.
what happened on that day?
So Connor, oh god, that was a, God, it was a terrible day. It was a good day.
Oh my
It was
God.
funny, but it was also terrible. So like I had every intention of coming to promotions and like hanging out and like rah-rahing in the back, right, with Connor. I had Connor duty that day, and Stacy was out volunteering. So we went actually to Baldwin Park to go get chicken fries, because that's what he wanted.
Where do
that
you
day.
get chicken fries from? Gators?
Gators? Chicken,
wait.
chicken and fries.
oh, chicken. Okay, so
That's
I was gonna ask you what chicken
that's what
fries
3-year-olds
were.
call chicken and fries.
Okay,
They don't
okay.
Chicken fries.
they don't use.
Chicken fries.
So we went there and like I'm like, all right, time to go. We gotta go. And packed up from Gators and started heading this way. And the fucking dude falls asleep, right? And that's when I texted you. I'm like, oh, I can't. It's nap time.
That was against the plan for him to go to sleep.
I was gonna, like he was supposed to stay up and like play and like run around while I was watching promotions. So the dude falls asleep. So I'm like, fuck.
Why couldn't he just nap during promotions?
Because if the moment I unsnap him from the car, like he's gonna wake up.
Oh, really? He's not one of those kids that can
no,
be
no,
like
no,
taken
no,
out.
no. He's a
Oh.
light sleeper. So like,
I was
dude.
the king of being asleep in the car, and they just dragged me out and put me in bed.
Nah,
I'm still
man, that doesn't
sleeping.
happen.
Okay.
It only happens at like midnight if that
Okay,
happens, you know.
okay.
So either way, I take him home. That's when I text you. I'm like, he's napping, can't make it. I drive home. I'm like slowly, like quietly transitioning from the car to like his crib, or actually his bed, to like nap. The moment his head hits the fucking pillow, he wakes up, and he's just like, I want to go. And I'm like, God damn it, kid. So we get back in the car. I snap him back in.
Hashtag fatherhood.
And God, I'm so annoyed. So like I hit the garage door open button, and I start backing out, not thinking, is the garage door all the way open?
You didn't look in the rearview mirror?
I fucking hear boom, and
Oh
Connor's
my
like, "What
God.
was that?" I fucking knocked the damn garage door off of the rails, and so it's really hard to put back on.
This is like National Lampoon's Family
It's
Vacation
terrible.
or something.
So
How
like,
big is your garage door? Is it like one of those two?
no. It's just a normal garage.
Okay.
Door, but so
how many vehicles fit in the garage?
it's a 2-car.
Okay.
garage,
Okay, so it's a pretty big one. It's like a regular sized.
yeah, it's a garage,
It's like-
right?
yeah.
Like, but like, when you knock them off the rails, you have to.
But
put it back
do you
on.
have 2 garage doors because there are 2 bays in your garage, or just one
just
garage door?
one big
one? Oh,
fucking
wow.
Yeah, so it's a big
garage
one.
door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Jesus,
I was
that
no.
would
That's
suck
I
ass.
wanted. I was.
It's
I
so
understood what
I
you were
knocked it
saying,
off.
and I was thinking of a counterexample
Yeah.
just in case.
So like my kid's locked in his car seat. I'm like, well, at this point, I'm gonna go to Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, y'all are doing it, but I can't get there because I have to put my fucking garage door back together.
What time was this?
It must have been like maybe 12:15 or so.
Yeah, I mean, you would have missed promotions.
But I would have been here for the
the little
joyous
party, yeah.
celebration and whatnot.
and
so,
seeing Victor get hammered,
oh yeah.
I did get really
and
fucked
and
up.
he shotgun. Oh yeah,
So
my
that
failed
was
attempt.
why I missed. Basically, I would have made it, but like I was too busy, literally putting a garage door back together, which they're like hundreds of pounds. So
with
Guys.
Connor there.
with Connor in the car, wasting gas because I don't want to like turn the car off because I have to
Oh
keep the car
my
air
God.
conditioned.
I'm glad you didn't pass out from carbon monoxide.
Dude, it was.
I was
no,
gonna say that.
It's up, right? Like it's like halfway up because it's like 3 feet. So I'm like I have plenty of airflow,
Okay.
and there's no garage door holding anything in because I've knocked it off.
Oh my goodness.
So
what
that
a
was-
what
it
a
was-
calamity.
It was terrible. So I'm sorry I missed your promotion.
Oh no, man, no worries. This right here, this
Makes up for it.
dogfish. Oh, absolutely. This is so delicious. It's really good.
Anyways, but
So how does it feel to do some Muay Thai? I haven't seen you do Muay Thai.
I don't
in a
know. I
while.
didn't. So
Oh, you didn't? You just directed traffic.
You called it, Noah. It's funny because
Oh, yeah, I
did
called-
say.
because
no, this is
where you're like, oh, Chris is here. He can handle it.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
Paul's
exactly
gonna
what
be
he
like,
said.
"Hey, Chris, you handle it."
And I was like,
And you know what he said? He's like, I asked him. He's like, "Oh, you got," because he already was out of his gear. And I was like, "Oh," like you got Chris handling. He's like, "Oh, Jamie's gonna do things." So I guess he had you or Jamie was gonna.
yeah, and then
There you go, man.
right back at it.
Right back at it.
Right back to where I left off. So
Right back to
it was okay. I mean, like I wish I'd gotten a little bit more work in, but such is life, right?
Yeah,
The-
man.
The duties of
I don't know. I
of
think
an
having
experience.
that as an option is great because, like, if you're like dealing with an injury or something, you can still participate. You can still work your mind, but you don't have to endanger your body.
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, and it's like it's
So Victor
it's
and
good to
I.
give people a different look too. You know,
Yeah,
like-
Victor and I had to help out the other day, and that was cool. Just to look at people roll and try and identify as like points of emphasis where they could improve and get better.
and then you can watch the people that you're potentially going to actually roll with, what they do with other people,
oh yeah,
to
tendencies.
strategize
Oh.
against them.
Yeah,
right?
we're doing that. I got my playbook for everybody.
your
Do this.
dossiers.
My notes.
My
My
notes.
notes.
Yeah, jeez. Nah, it's good, and we're starting to have new faces in here. Which
Yeah,
is cool,
I noticed
so.
that. Like I was like half the jiu-jitsu class. I was like, who the fuck are these people? I mean, I don't see white belts anyway.
and
but
they're like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah,
and
it's
then
a
it's a legendary.
He's one of the black belts.
It's a legendary black belt.
yeah, and
black
then like
belt.
they roll with me. They're
Oh.
like,
Dude, and like
guy's a
you're,
black belt.
dude, you're bald now, so you're like a Shaolin monk
I
coming
know,
to the
right?
doors. He's like,
So
oh my god.
so there's a huge difference. I don't know if you guys know who there's a huge difference in a one guard and a no guard. So I was like, I got this new badass like wireless.
Oh yeah, you
Shaver
mentioned
thing?
some comment on,
Oh, dude, half the time.
and then Ryan was like, "Or you could go to the barber or something."
Yeah, or I can spend money and go to the barber, but
but that's what
That's
you were
what Ryan
doing
does.
before, right?
what do you mean?
That's-
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But you know, I got to pay for yard service now, so you know,
Oh, you're not doing your own yard work now?
I mean, like chemicals.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want that shit on me. Like,
Oh
fuck
no,
that.
I agree with that, but
Like, I mean, I've had my kid and all, but still, like, I want my testicles to exist still, right? Right? Like,
this is true. This is true. This is true.
It's like-
Jesus
But I
Christ.
mean, what? I don't know, because I've always lived in an apartment my entire life. So, what kind of chemicals do you use? Like, in the, like
What kind of
like
what?
pesticides? Is that what we're talking about?
yeah,
Okay,
like
okay, makes sense.
pesticides and herbicides, man. Like,
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't need to get that shit on my
How big
skin.
is your yard?
I know he wants that little patch of grass between the sidewalk and the road
Oh,
to
like
look
a little
really
aisle,
good.
like a
Yeah, a
aisle?
little.
Yeah.
Got
so-
you. Got you.
But
Just live next to a golf course, and they'll do all the chemical treatment for you, man.
no, that would also mean a higher HOA. So fuck
That's
that.
true. And also, you never know if Connor would get beaned by a stray
Fucking
golf ball.
And plus, I'd have to be around like rich assholes. So
and gators, because we all know gators love.
Do they?
Isn't I always see? Don't you always see viral videos of gators?
Oh, in the little like the ponds.
Yeah, you know.
I guess.
Or walking across the greens.
I mean, we live in Florida, so it's like
I know,
there are
true.
gators like in my pool, right? Like.
So what are you gonna try to do with your jiu-jitsu when you start rolling again? Do you have anything you're working on or plan to working on?
So it actually kind of struck me as an interesting. It was actually our post conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that
Soon to be a new podcast, Off the Record. with
Yeah,
Chris
like the
Fu and-
B-sides.
The B-sides.
You guys should record all the off the record podcasts and
no,
do like
we didn't. That was the problem.
like a secret library. You know
Our
how
Patreon.
You know how,
Yeah, Patreon. Yeah,
you know how
exactly.
Instagram. You know how
Where we call
Instagram-
people out and like.
Our OnlyFans
Yeah.
page.
Do you know how Instagram does the close friends thing? You just post that. For
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what-
doing OnlyFans.
Dude,
Jesus Christ, no.
Chihuahua does that, dude.
Chihuahua, if you're listening to this, fuck you, man.
When
I love you,
Chihuahua,
but
when
Jesus
Chihuahua
Christ.
decides to smoke a lot, not just a little weed he'll go on his story, but a lot of weed, it
My
goes
boy
to
just
close
goes
friends.
crazy.
I get the green circle, and I'm like, all right.
Those are interesting to watch.
Anyway, he's probably like, why you, bro? Don't
Bro.
tell me why you being such a snitch, bro, bro. You're
he
not. You're not.
messaged me something on Instagram the other day about how like first off, I just like don't follow him because I don't care.
Damn,
BJJ.
Chihuahua, you listen to that? Chris does not follow.
I just
you
don't
on
care. I mean, like
Instagram.
honestly, like I've so the COVID has the pandemic and whatnot has like given me a lot more free time to like really examine like things in my life. So like I went through my Instagram and I'm like unfollowing like all the things that just like all the porn stars and like hot fitness chicks. I'm like, why do I need this, right? And like I think I unfollowed him or something, and like he messaged me out of the random, which I haven't talked to him since he left.
Well, he messages all randomly. You know, that's
Did he?
part of his charm.
But he was just like, I see that you like all these BJJ girls or something. It took a screenshot of like some random BJJ girl, and like he had, you know how you can see like the people you follow and who they like, or who, you know, like
yeah,
in
yeah,
Instagram,
like,
and I was just like,
Have you been liking too much of Jezreel Matuda's post or something?
I don't even know. I deleted the post.
There's an entire page dedicated to like MMA/BJJ chicks, and it's kind of weird.
No,
man.
there's a page called MMA Cheeks.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I got rid of
MMA
that. See, like that
cheeks?
didn't matter to me anymore. Like, why do I need to look
That
at girls'
MMA
asses?
Cheeks, all they do is repost ass shots
of
female MMA
of
fighters.
female MMA fighters or
That's weird to me,
kickboxers
man.
and stuff.
That's
Like
weird
it's
to me.
like
come on.
And you know what I find weird is those fitness models, a lot of them repost the reposters post,
Exactly,
and they're
yeah.
like, thanks for the share, and I'm like,
how does that work with the algorithms and stuff? Like, does that?
well, I don't know how it works with the algorithm, but
activity
it's
regardless,
blatant
but-
that they're, I mean, I know you're making a post that's kind of objectifying, but then you really are, you're like,
Instagram is all about objectifying,
I
though.
know.
That's the
Yeah,
point of
Noah.
Instagram.
It's all about posture. Well, yeah, I did have a couple shirtless posts a few months ago where people were like, what the fuck are you doing?
Dude, you were going full bro.
I was going full
Did
bro.
Drew call you out though? That's what really matters. 'Cause,
Who?
I mean, like that doesn't matter.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
life doesn't matter unless he calls you out. So
Oh, Jesus.
you haven't made it until then.
Well, anyway.
He's the SNL of life, right?
Yeah. Jesus.
Anyway,
What about you, Victor? What do you have? I've never asked you this. Do you ever like work on things, like when you train, or are you just kind of like, let me just react?
like what do you mean, like in like rolling or
Yeah,
working
like
out?
no. I'm talking about
okay.
the jiu-jitsu and stuff.
Yeah, no, you know this. I mean, sometimes I get, and it's funny because I usually get like start working on things after Coach Paul fucks me up really badly with something like the guillotine stuff. That's the last thing I got really into it.
Oh, okay.
Because he just keep doing that to me, and I was like, "That's cool. I want to like do that. See how like."
So
I
when
can-
he starts really beating you with one thing, you're
I
like,
started
okay,
to do that
I want to
to
start doing
other
it too.
people. Yeah. So
Like if it works on me, it's got to work on other people.
no, come on. I mean, I feel like he can do anything to me if he really wanted to. Like just kind of.
There was that one week. I'm only saying this because Victor can add like to this. So it's like we're rolling, and we've been, because of less people in class and just how things have been, we've been able to roll pretty significantly with Paul a lot, which is
Yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
Paul's such an enjoyable role, and there's a certain way those roles kind of go. Obviously, he's in control, but if we had any false sense of like security or progression or something, there
That's
was
the
a
word.
week where that was the week where he was in his mind. He thought he'd be able to compete because he was planning to compete, and this is before those
Supposed to be July 25th, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they all got shut down by that.
They did?
That got
Okay,
postponed. That got
okay,
postponed.
all right.
They postponed that. There was one week where those roles were completely different.
Oh, dude, I got my ass. We got our ass beat. It was bad.
got roll.
All sense of progression just went out the window.
I mean, yeah, I was like, yeah, any false sense of like, yeah, you know, I'm feeling like the roles aren't quite going like how they used to, like last year, and like you're trying to do that, and then it was suddenly like a whole nother level of getting shut down. That's how I would say it. It was like I just got shut down, and I was there's nothing I could do. The first mistake I made, which was within seconds, he capitalized, and that was it. It was game over,
Yeah.
and I was mounted, and I was not escaping mount. Like before, I was like, oh, yeah, I can kind of get... No, he was letting me work. He's like, I was not getting out of mount. He was clamping his quads right around my hips, and I wasn't fucking moving them. And at that point, it was... Dude, there's a week of that. Just a week of that. It was a little demoralizing.
Dude,
I'm not going to lie.
We
I was
made
like...
fun of you so bad because you like... Okay, so...
Oh, really? Oh.
Oh, dude, we were...
it all comes out.
Oh, wait a minute. Bring it to the light.
Coach Paul and I were making fun of you. You know this. We've told you because
When?
we were making fun of you because there was a time you messaged him and you told me because you messaged me too. You messaged him and you said, "Yeah, I'm gonna take a few days off. I'm a little beat up." And then the next day I came. It was that was a Thursday, and then on Saturday I came in the morning, and he's like, I told him, "Dude, what do you do to know him?" Because you messaged me pretty late at night. You told me, "Dude, I'm not gonna be there." That's fucking
This
hilarious.
is that week, too.
Yeah, that was the week. And so we're getting our asses beat by Coach Paul all week long. And Noah messaged me at night, and he's like, "Dude, I'm not gonna be there tomorrow," and stuff like that, which I appreciated the heads up because I can't trade with my boo boo. But anyways, I came that morning and I asked Coach Paul, "Hey man, what did you do to him?" Because like he texted me last night, and so that escalated to like. We were making fun of you, saying, "Dude, you called me, you're crying, man." I quit. So
I think I remember that.
Every time we
week,
tell
actually.
the story, it gets worse. Like we add a new
oh
embellishment.
yeah, dude, we were
I was
just
sobbing.
yeah, we were just Noah called me crying last night, saying that
Like,
you guys.
I heard
so,
he dialed the suicide hotline like prior to.
So
or
next time you
something,
came in, actually you came in that same day to record a podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And like, what? I know. I came in sheepishly.
so Coach Paul told me before when he comes in, you just tell him, "Hey, I told him to leave you alone." So like when he walked in, Coach Paul was across the room and I yelled, "Hey man, leave him alone!" Like I'm defending you. Stop bullying Noah. And
You
it
did a
was
good
so funny.
defend. Your
It was
chivalry
so great.
came
But
through, and
To be fair though, he was beating the fuck out of us. It's pretty funny.
And I will say this just because I'm sure people will balk at this. You know what was beating me up? I mean, he did put harding on, but it was not that. It was that we were doing that guillotine stuff, and
It
I
was
was
the
the
same
uke the whole
over
time.
and over again, yeah.
So not only was we rolling, and he was like grabbing my head. That wasn't so bad, but being uke for that stuff when you don't
my
actually
God.
move so much, and he's still cranking, and of course when he does it, he wants to do it right. And my neck was just getting cranked for an entire week, and I was just like, ugh.
I will say that you did get your ass beat a lot more than me because you trained at noon and then you came back at night for seconds.
Yeah, second round.
So I was
Second
getting my
round.
ass beat once.
Bring on the pain.
So I was getting my ass beat once a day, whereas you had your ass beat twice.
I think what it showed me was, if you go with a good grappler and you make a mistake, you don't necessarily it's going to be a hard work for you to get a second chance.
yeah, because they're building that momentum, right? Where
When Paul wanted to shut me down in a superior position, he did shut me down. Whereas before, he was letting me work the escape to keep the flow of the roll and give him more reps of what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But when he's in competition mode of like, I'm going to pass the guard, assume mount, and control mount, and then look to submit. I was shocked at. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was a little surprised to what degree he could
holds
lock
back.
his hand. He could lock those goddamn fucking thighs around my waist in mount, and they would not budge when I tried to like frame on them and push them. Like I tried to like jam my fists into his hips to like.
Yeah.
They weren't moving.
Good times.
You
It's
know.
subtle.
So I was like, God darn it. So that was the week, and then it went back to normal.
It's fun, dude. That was a fun week. Again, I was just training once a day, so I didn't get it quite as bad as you did, but it was fun. I think.
And now we're all going for fucking guillotines out of half guard.
Yeah.
So
but
when is the competition going to happen then? When is the next thing that
that's a great. That's a fantastic
That's a great question,
There
but
was another one
everything's shut down.
There was
is
another one
it's
August
just not
8th.
gonna happen?
I don't
Yeah,
think
there's
it's
an
happening
August
anymore.
8th.
Is that happening still? I don't know.
August 8th is today.
Today. So
Oh.
is there a Naga happening?
Looks like
today?
that didn't happen. So,
I don't know.
all right.
Well, I don't know, but
But even still, like, it's going to be like very sparse.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend $100-$120? I mean, that's always the question anyway going to jiu-jitsu tournament, let alone in conditions now where a lot of grapplers that might sign up are not going to sign up. So, yeah, you want to sign up and just get on the podium because there was nobody else in your division. That's a pretty expensive
hey, man,
shirt.
Just don't post a picture, bro.
Yeah.
Show the medal.
Exactly.
Nah, but that's really bad though. When you have like only one person and one of you gets silver and one of you gets gold, that's like that's bad.
And then you put that on your.
Then you put it on
You put that in your profile.
Champion.
Silver.
World champion.
World champion.
I got my
Yeah.
silver here. So yeah, it's the nature of it.
You made a good point about jiu-jitsu competitions. There's so many categories.
Yeah.
That it's like, dude, there's like separated by weights, and then you have your belts.
Hey man,
It's so many categories.
Age.
And then your age.
I'm going to be
yeah.
a 7-year-old world champion, bro. In the 70s,
Yeah.
in the
That's
Masters.
that's what I
Masters
think.
6 or
That's why I
8
think it
or
takes a
whatever.
little bit of the weight off the world champion title. A little bit of the weight off. I mean, no.
Unless you know, like at the end of the day, people know who's.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm saying like the difference
yeah.
between the world's bracket when you have like super pedigreed black belts competing against each other. Okay, that's obviously really impressive. But you have purple belt, masters 17, 32 class, whatever. So you have all these subdivisions that when you're a world champion in one of those subdivisions, it's like you're a good grappler, but it's
Dude,
like so subdivided.
You can be I grappled, and she's an awesome person. Like
he's about to call somebody out.
yeah, I'm going to call someone out, but
Oh shit.
she's awesome. I met her at a BJJ Globe. Actually, I rolled with 2 female grapplers in Iceland last year at the BJJ Globetrotters camp. One definitely felt good for being a blue belt. She felt strong, and she was technical. And the other one was just a white belt who was just a friendly girl who was just did her thing, but nobody where you'd look. It wasn't like you'd say like holy shit, kind of thing. Both of them gold medals, Euros that year. So they went to Euros, which is one of the major IBJJF tournaments.
Yeah.
The blue belt got gold and got promoted on the podium to purple. So congrats to her, well deserved. And the other one got the white belt gold. So she's a gold like Euro gold medalist at white belt, which is great for them. They went out, they competed, and they succeeded. That's great for them. I'm kind of sitting there and I'm thinking, like, champ at white belt? Like, this is like...
Yeah, but what does Keenan and Hinger always say?
What?
Nobody fucking cares if you're like...
Oh,
like the only belt that matters is when you're world champion.
I think honestly, what they're doing is what you need to do to be a gold medalist at the black belt level. Is like you need to be competing in those tournaments and getting exposed to that. Like that's the progression.
Right.
It's just funny that the title, such a prestigious sounding title, can be assigned to a white belt division or a blue belt division, right?
I mean, good for them, right? Like
No.
I get it.
I know it sounds like I'm not undercutting their accomplishment. Like they're both good grapplers. Like I've grappled with them, they're very good. It's just weird for me coming from the tennis world where it was just one bracket. There's no weight classes because tennis, weight doesn't come in. Like it's just a different sport, so that's odd for me, right? Like I go to Worlds as a what? Imagine that we go to Worlds as white belts. What?
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as Chris. It's like, good for them. And I'm also, I agree with you. It's like, that's the progression. And I agree that the title is super flashy for what you accomplished. But at the same time,
I think that's my thing. Is I'm just kind of like.
But at the same time, if your goal is to be like an elite gi grappler, that's your progression.
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what you're doing, and that's
you have to.
Hey,
you have to
more,
get exposed.
More power to you.
You got to be
more power to
JV
you.
before your varsity, right? Like,
Exactly.
But
That's a great way to put it.
But it's not even JV because I wouldn't even say that. It's you need to be in that environment and get comfortable with that environment. You know what I mean? Why would you not compete? It's not. If there's an option to compete in that environment at white belt, at blue belt, at purple, then do it.
Yeah.
I'm used to thinking of an environment where the black belts have their tournaments. That's worlds, and then color belts would have their.
Like-
hang
like
on. Sorry about that. I accidentally hit the stop button, so just go back.
But competing is a skill too. Like just there's a skill to knowing like how that stuff works, right? Like
Yeah, like scoring points
and,
stuff like
and
that.
not even scoring points, but just like
or performing under
just
that.
like the fucking bureaucracy of competing and whatnot, right? Like
You
getting
say
into that
bureaucracy.
no, well,
It sounded like he said
bureaucracy.
I mean,
like-
bureaucracy. No, I know.
But there's a skill to learning and navigating that sort of ecosystem too, right? Like somebody who's more experienced that is not guaranteed to do better, but likely to, like, you're not as pressured, you're not as stressed out, and that sort of thing, right? So like there's something to that. So let me ask you guys. This is completely it's kind of jiu-jitsu related, kind of not jiu-jitsu related. So my buddy at work, he coaches baseball, and they just held tryouts for their baseball team. And it's like fucking 9-year-olds or something, right? And he wanted to run something by me because he knows that I sort of like coach in the realm of athletics too, and my thoughts about this. And it's along the same lines of what we're talking about here, but like the skill of competing. So he's running tryouts, and one of his co-coaches, if you want to call it that, said, we need to run, like, we have our assessment, like actual test portion of the tryouts, but I want all of the kids who are there to try out to warm up doing our team warm up, and then they get to do the assessment. And I said, like, that's a fucking terrible idea, because anybody who's not used to that warm up very well could grossly underperform, versus letting them warm up on their own and then doing the assessment. Which do you guys, just in your own opinion, because my thought was, if like any student who's going to come from off the streets from another gym and do, like, let's say our warm up here, is likely to be at a disadvantage if they're used to a different warm up, right? Like that was my opinion about it. Like, how do you feel about that when it comes to competition? Like, just the idea of that, like, because these kids are essentially competing each other for spots on a team. Is it better?
But just to clarify, we're talking all about this in the context of tryouts for a team.
Yes.
Okay.
I was gonna make that distinction. I think when you have a team
Okay.
whose like purpose is to compete, I think you want to have a good baseline of how they're gonna react when they're competing, and I think having that early on is good. But I see what you're saying about if somebody's not used to that, you might have a little bit disadvantage. But
okay, go ahead.
I think as long as you don't bias yourself when the actual assessment is performed, I think that's not terrible. I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. Coming from a point of really inexperience, I don't really. My coaching experience is like kids in jiu-jitsu, but I would say, I mean, I think it's good to have a good baseline of how a kid is gonna just in its raw state compete or perform under a competition stress level kind of thing.
So he's agreeing with you. He's agreeing. Like, I feel like you're agreeing with Chris then. You're saying like don't enforce the warm up with the team, doing the team thing. Just do your own thing and do the evaluation.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying. So, I think I misunderstood what you were saying. So he's doing the team warm up.
So he's saying, like, our team, because he's, let's say they have a team and they're the coaches already, and let's say how many kids are on a baseball team? I don't know anything about sports. Is it 10?
I don't know. I don't really know baseball.
How many kids are on a baseball team?
How many kids are on a I don't know in total, but on the field there are 11.
So at minimum 11, right? So let's say the 11 spots they need to fill 5, right? Mm-hmm. And they're having random people
they're 9.
show up.
I'm sorry. God damn it. I should have known that. They're 9 on a field.
How should you know that?
Got him.
Because
did you
I
play
played.
baseball? Oh, you played baseball?
I played.
Okay, well,
and
then
Paul
scratch
played baseball, so Paul's going to listen to this.
Coach Paul, if you're listening to this,
These guys are idiots.
Because 11's football.
Take a stripe off.
11's football.
Take a stripe off.
9
If
is,
you're listening to this. I thought that was weird. I was like, the same.
First off, you're giving us too much credit to think that Paul's listening to this. So.
Yeah, I know.
You're right. But I mean, maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
Is it 9?
It's
Okay,
9
so
because
9.
you have
So let's
3
say
in the
they need to fill
outfield.
4,
You have
right?
3 in the outfield.
And the bases.
You have, So you have 3 in the outfield: center field, left field, right field. Then you
Pitcher.
have 4 in the infield, which is third base, shortstop, second base, first base. So now we're at 7.
Catcher and pitcher.
Catcher and pitcher, the
Okay,
battery.
okay.
So now you got
So it's not. Okay. So let's say they need to
God,
fill.
that took a while.
So that's 9 people. Let's say there are like 12 on a team then, just because.
No, they'll have way more because pitchers. I mean, at a kid's level, I don't know, man. It
Okay, let's just say 12.
But in the major leagues,
let's say
they have a lot of
4
pitchers.
spots out of 12, right? And they're doing tryouts for the 12, and it's a tryout for that team. That's the situation I'm setting.
Okay,
up.
so I think it's good to expose him to that warm up because it's like what they were expected to perform under.
Which is technically not a part of the evaluation.
But yeah, I think once you see, I think it should be part of the evaluation because you see how a kid performs in that raw kind of non-experience.
Okay.
But if a kid is obviously he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's still performing to a good degree, then you have that to kind of draw on when you're actually doing the assessment. It's like, oh, this kid performed well, so maybe I can excuse some of these things that are skill related to build on that. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
wrong.
That's what I would say.
Wrong.
I don't know. Again, from inexperience, so.
Right, I gotta disagree. Right, that's how this works.
I mean,
right?
I don't know. I mean,
no,
I just wanted your all's.
No,
opinion
I
about
actually, I agree with what Victor's saying. I would say it this way: if your purpose is to strictly evaluate these people from a talent perspective, I mean, I think part of the reason is they're kids, so maybe they don't know how to warm up. But if they were like handling this very seriously, I would actually not have them warm up with the team. I would have them show up. This is the time. You better show up ready to do your evaluation.
That's
what I would do.
That's my opinion.
However, I think there's merit, and it's important for them to do the warm-up if you want to evaluate chemistry with other people and how they play with others. So I think they might be doing the warm-up as part of the evaluation.
That was sort of his take about it.
So they might say
like
we're evaluating the
soft
talent.
skills, not hard skills.
If you're evaluating just their raw talent, have them show up at this time, do the test, and leave. That's how I'd look at it. If you're evaluating, like you said, the character traits, the soft skills,
intangibles, right? Like,
yeah, then that's totally acceptable because it's.
Which I guess, I mean, a team sport is both facets, right?
That's a better way to put it. I agree with what you're saying. It's like if you,
okay,
you need
fair
to.
enough.
I think you need to evaluate those things, and those things are recognizable to a certain degree in a warm up. You know,
and at the end of the day. First of all, it's kids baseball.
Yeah.
And number 2,
it's kids like super competitive.
I know, but if they're good, anybody that's good, that warm up's not going to inhibit their performance.
It won't make or break their assessment. Okay, fair enough.
And as long as the evaluator should be able to see that without. If the evaluator needs under only a certain condition with a certain lens to be able to see the talent, then the evaluator sucks.
Oh,
the talent evaluator, right? Like. How many times did you know this? Like Nick Paul or you can roll with someone, not have a belt on and know pretty much what belt they are in Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, that's true. I mean.
So that comes down to talent evaluator. So yeah, next question.
No, I didn't know how the hell that even came about. Like it was literally like Buddy and I were so just like diametrically opposed to our opinions about it. That it's because I don't come from a team sports background, right?
You've been getting a lot of people. Well, a lot. You've had a few people reach out to you about advice regarding coaching or teaching. This is not the first story. Like you've told me about other people. Like didn't Alan reach out to you or something? Shout out to Alan.
I don't remember.
No, it wasn't Alan. Oh, maybe it was someone else. I thought someone was asking.
It might have been. Oh yeah.
It wasn't like Taekwondo.
Yeah, it was like how would you? It's just he and I have a lot of like philosophical like martial arts discussions about how we would. Like he has it in his head. Of like, I'm like, okay, so how would you run your Taekwondo class, right? Because he loves Taekwondo,
yeah,
and good for him, right?
And
like,
so do you.
I mean, like, I appreciate it.
Ooh.
I think you made a Facebook post saying that you do actually like Taekwondo. Am I remembering that correctly?
You wouldn't be the person you are without Taekwondo.
No, I know, and I appreciate it.
Pull it up, Jamie.
No, I said I appreciate it, right? Like I wouldn't be the martial arts that I am without it existing, right, in my life. But I asked him, I was like, so what would you change about it? How would you train it differently? And I was like, oh, so it'd be Muay Thai. You know, I sent him a link to like Dutch type drills and stuff. I'm like, so it'd be this, right? Like, so at that point, like, why wouldn't you just call it Muay Thai? Like, I'm training Muay Thai instead.
Aren't the techniques different though?
I mean, it's kicking and punching, dude.
No, but I would say okay, so obviously.
In Taekwondo, don't you have that spinning kick that nobody will really do in Muay Thai?
I mean, like, but that's just it, right? So I was like, what would you do differently? And he's like, well, I would probably allow face punches. I would probably allow target.
Are they not allowed in Taekwondo? Like face punching?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
And in,
like,
like the Olympics when
no, it's only
okay.
kicks from the waist and above, and
okay.
punches from here to here. So he was like, I would probably allow face punches, and I would allow like low kicks. I'm like, so you'd be kickboxing, right? Like, and like, how would you train it then without like mixing in the idea of kind of like forms, right, and patterns and stuff, and it'd be more partner drills, it'd be more reaction drills and that sort of thing. You know, I'm like, so
you're saying like
it'd be Muay Thai.
Muay Thai ideas with Taekwondo techniques, like Muay Thai drills.
But there are no Taekwondo techniques. You know, a kick is a kick, a punch is a punch. It's how you apply them that dictates.
But that's exactly what you said. How you apply them is what makes the technique different.
Right, and whatever the rule set is. So I'm like,
Okay.
he'd be willing to change the rule sets to allow for a broader range of techniques. And I'm like, at that point, it's not Taekwondo, it's Muay Thai.
So are we basically saying that, like, we're kind of condensing a bunch of martial arts really at the end of the day? It's like, at the end of the day now, modern martial arts is MMA. That's like the ultimate standard because it's a combination of all the techniques.
Because it's fighting.
You're accounting for
Right?
everything.
Like,
You're
it's
accounting for all scenarios.
Stand up,
Whereas
clinch, and
doing
grab.
Muay Thai is
Stand up
MMA
and
without
clinch.
grappling.
I think it just depends on the
Boxing
rule set.
is Muay Thai without kicks.
Yeah.
No, it's not. 'Cause
It's not. I mean, that's
there's
different
difference
because
in
the
this.
rules dictate.
Yeah,
What I'm
that's-
saying
that's
is,
what-
you don't punch and you don't stand the way you do in boxing versus Muay Thai because they don't have kicks.
What I was gonna
I'm not
say,
saying it's like if you remove kicks and you do the same Muay Thai techniques, that's what boxing looks like.
what
I'm
I
not
was gonna
saying that.
say is what Chris said is it just depends when you're fighting, everything's MMA.
Exactly.
But when you're
right?
competing, it just depends on what you're doing. If you're
It's
boxing,
whatever, yeah.
then you stand differently. If you're doing kickboxing, then you do something different. If you're doing Muay Thai, you can clinch, or you're doing some things a little differently. So I think it just depends.
So
on
at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, like Ryan Martman and I get into arguments about this all the time at work, right? Like, to me, jiu-jitsu. There's like the sort of like formal definition of jiu-jitsu, right? That it's sort of like the IBJJF approved, accepted definition of it.
No reaping.
No, exactly. Like no reaping, no this and that. But to me, jiu-jitsu just means it's much broader, and it's just grappling.
Ground fighting without
Ground
strikes.
fighting. Yeah, no strikes.
I think
Grappling.
it's the same thing as in the ground. I mean, if you're competing in a sambo tournament, then you're doing this thing. You're doing a BJJF tournament, then you're
But it's
doing
all
that.
grappling.
But it's
Except
all grappling.
It's just
guys.
grappling with just
at its
different
core, it's
restrictions.
like
Yeah.
it's grappling.
And old school jiu-jitsu guys are always going to be harping about, right? Like the Chris Howders, like think
No.
street.
Yeah, exactly. Like there should be a fighting aspect to it. That
Yeah, you
be
should always
in-
be taking into account that the guy could be punching you.
Yeah,
and
think street, train sport.
Yeah.
Or practice sport, train art, or
there is
whatever
no
they get.
spoon.
Right, wherever that goes. I'd have to look up again. But like, and that's just it. We're like, it's all. To me, there isn't. It's either striking or grappling. Like everything else is just a name.
I have a question for the hosts.
Yeah.
I read
geez.
this. It was funny. I read this. So you know how in the
boy.
Matrix you can learn something by just uploading into your head.
Yeah.
What would be the skill that you would choose to be uploaded into your brain immediately?
Wrestling.
Out of everything in the
In world. Life?
In
You
life.
mean
yeah.
life?
No, yeah,
Fucking-
everything.
I mean,
Everything.
like,
just you get to pick one thing. I
The
read
Karma
this.
Sutra. No, just kidding.
I read this somewhere, and I thought it was a really cool question. So
Like an immediate. So like not even like martial arts. related.
you know how
You get full mat. You get that 10,000 hours. Boom.
yeah,
Right away.
you just boop, they upload it into your brain. What would be the skill ever? Like,
But it's not. It's a
overall.
skill that it's a realistic human skill. It's not like I could suddenly fly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be a realistic skill that you would have to practice to attain in a regular setting. But this time, you just kind of upload it into your head. What would that be for you guys? And I get this is a really, really broad question. So just take a minute. Go to a quick commercial. We're sponsored by. I don't know. Is this
Jeez.
copyrighted in these things?
So, do you have any ideas, Chris? Like I want to give two answers because I think two answers.
Yeah, no,
would
it's
be,
fine. It's really broad.
I
So
wanna
you can
give-
do-
I'm gonna give, like-
I know it's super
thinking
broad.
of
I'm gonna
two
give,
different
like-
things.
like what would help my jujitsu,
That's fine. Yeah.
or what would help my martial arts thing. And honestly, like, it's either wrestling or Muay Thai. Probably, I'll just say wrestling, because I think. Well, it's weird though, because I feel like if I knew wrestling, then I wouldn't do jujitsu the way I do jujitsu. So it's weird.
Yep.
So I want to because we're in a fictional scenario. Let's just say wrestling for jiu-jitsu. If I could like have wrestling for jiu-jitsu knowledge at mastery, I'd be
Like
like
Nicky
awesome.
Rod.
Okay. So now that this is
Or
super broad
cyborg or
question. So
something.
let me
And then from a skill point, like what would I like to know?
In
It
life?
could be anything. it's funny because you know what's interesting is there are a lot of ones that I would like, but I don't want to take the joy out of not learning them. So for example, like mountaineering, I don't want to like
just know it.
I just don't want to know it. I want to experience the learning process of it. So for me, it would be something that I think would be very useful, but I have really no interest in really learning it, and that would be either cryptocurrency trading or stock market trading.
It's funny as I was thinking,
That's
like some sort of,
if I just knew that, like awesome. But like
in the thread that I was reading, that was a huge one. It was like I have no interest in learning this, but I think it's so useful that it would be cool to.
Or honestly, something medical related.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how broad, like CPR might be too specific, but something in that.
That was my answer.
Is something
for,
like that.
Skill, like
I was thinking
emergency
something
medicine.
Like fucking zombie apocalypse tomorrow. What would make me a useful person to like the rebuilding process?
My answer to that question is always like to the original is emergency medicine. Just boop.
I would say something like being a good mechanic, like just being, like an actual like trade.
Handyman upload. Bing.
And that
No, like a skilled labor.
I understand. I
like
understand.
that, something like that, like some sort of fucking. I can like an electrician. Like you are super handy, and that's something that I'm just spending money on right now that I don't need to.
So let me just kind of focus it a little bit. What about straight jiu-jitsu upload? Just straight jiu-jitsu, one skill. Like I'm talking about half guard submissions, all of them, or full guard, like straight jiu-jitsu upload.
Oh, to me it would be headlock stuff.
Headlock, okay.
Yeah, because I'm shitty at guillotines, and I think it would be it adds a good component to things. So
I like to have more aggressive guard passing, but that's like a mindset thing. That's not
but it's a skill.
like a particular
guard passing.
skill. You and I
be more
and I talked
specific
about
in the
this on our
guard
B-sides
passing,
the other day,
you know?
right? Like the idea that like Paul, when he gets a grip, he doesn't like. You had talked about like how he executes it, right? Like he doesn't hesitate. He's not violently doing something, but he just does it deliberately, like with purpose. And like I feel as though
decisively,
yeah. Like he's just, I'm going to do this.
So jiu-jitsu.
So like that's probably the thing that I need to work on the most overall, and not like to seek this like perfect grip. It's just if I get something, just run with it and use it.
So I just say guillotine because I think it's something that I struggle with getting. So I think it's going to be something for me to harder for me to get, or it's something I might not get that well. But I still think what I said before applies, which is there's a real, like a lot of the enjoyment is learning and messing up and just like typing in the cheat code to like, max out this skill, like the skill points in this tree.
No, I get that. I just thought it was
it's
really
kind of like.
interesting.
So yeah, I think wrestling for jiu-jitsu would probably be the most immediate like boom bang for your buck. How do I get better? Like Chris told me, it makes sense. Like what did Ryan Hall say? Like Ryan Hall, what do you think grapplers could do a better job of? He's like, if everyone just started coming up for singles more, whenever they had an opportunity to, they'd probably be way better grapplers. Because we just probably just chill and play our guard.
Yeah, it's a super broad question.
So what about you? You asked us questions.
Really,
what would you? So you said you would do. So let's go back to the original question. You said you would do like emergency medical.
Yeah,
for the broad
emergency
one.
medical. Boom.
Okay, now for martial arts, what would you? Not just jiu-jitsu. Like that was the more specific one. So I answered two. I said jiu-jitsu for wrestling or wrestling for jiu-jitsu. What would you do for MMA? Anything falling under MMA? What would be your upload?
So I'll give you two. One for Muay Thai striking, and then one for grappling. If that's okay with you.
Okay.
So I'll give you for Muay Thai. I'd probably do, like kicking. I love kicking. I think it's really fun. I would just have like better kicks, like timing and stuff. Because there's something about like when you're kicking, there's something about your range and stuff like that. You don't want to be too close because you may bang your knee. You don't want to be too far because obviously you can't reach the guy, or you're hitting with your foot. So my kicks, I just do kicks, poof, upload it. And for grappling, scrambles. just.
But I feel like you're good at
But you
scrambling.
scramble so well.
you're
Why
good-
would you?
I love scrambling.
So,
So why'd you
he
need
really
it-
wants
I
to
mean,
max.
it's
So I just want to max that. I just want to
You're
go to my.
sharpening the saw versus bringing up a weakness.
I just want to go to my character in like Madden and just hit the plus button in the scramble.
on the scramble attribute.
Because I love scrambling. I love it. It's I think you asked me this a long time ago. While it makes a good role, like what do you
Oh
consider
yeah,
a good role?
what's it?
And to me, it was like, when guys are just and not spazzing out and against each other, but just like
So like that
a really
role you
nice
saw of
scramble.
like the
Gilbert
30
Burns.
seconds you did with Sahibi that Paul was.
That was fun.
videotaping.
I love that. That
like
was
an
super fun.
Excellent example of scrambling.
That was super fun.
And that role that Paul posted a few like a month ago maybe. Of
Oh
like
yeah,
Gilbert
Cyborg
Burns
versus
and
Gilbert
Cyborg.
Burns. That was
Oh
awesome.
my God.
That's
Where
amazing.
Where they're just going.
Yes, the Cyborg shoots
So they're doing-
Gilbert Burns like Uchimata.
they're always
It's amazing.
moving.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that. And the only way to get because I don't know. I'm saying this a little too, but I mean, just you may correct me on this, but I don't think there's really a technique. Well, is there a technique? Obviously there is, but
I think for me, the idea of scrambling
I'm saying
is
is
like
to drill it. Is you have to do it. To drill
you have to do it. You have to execute
scramble. You
it,
have to
not
scramble.
like. And I think one thing about that I'm extremely guilty of when it comes to scrambling, and the reason why I don't scramble is I concede positions, and like that's one thing about I think wrestling that the mindset of wrestling is you never concede a position, right? Like you're always either.
Oh, I thought you
Fighting out
said
of it?
I can see a position.
No,
I didn't
concede.
Know you concede. Yeah.
Yeah, like you never concede a position in wrestling,
same
right?
with
Like
what
you're
you said,
always
yeah.
just like you're always moving. You never settle.
So you will give up points, is what you're saying. Like in a competitive match, it's like, oh, I would just give up a point here. Whereas like the wrestling mentality, the
You're
scramble
just gonna fight,
mentality, you do not- you do not
re-angle.
concede.
You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're just never conceding any position. You just, and I think that's what ultimately scrambling is.
Yeah, for me is that because I understand your point, Noah, when you said I don't want to take the joy of learning everything. Because for me, I agree with that. There's a lot of things that the journey to getting to that point is what kind of is the point in and of itself, right? But to me, scrambling, like I said, there's no drilling. Well, I guess there is if you're doing situational sparring, but ultimately,
You do a lot of like flowing. I would
but
imagine,
ultimately,
to
it's
be able to-
sparring. You know,
Yeah.
the way to get good at scrambling is to scramble. So if I could just max that out and get to like a
and it's very demanding.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
but that's not
that's why I
that's not what kind of sucks for me, you know, because I like when we're doing today that the grip we're doing today,
Yeah.
that's intricate and that's something that I want to drill and I want to experience and I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
fail until I get better at it. But scrambling is like I just want to get to the max level so I can just go.
I
with
guess
Coach
it's
Paul
also
and
like
scramble.
the things. It's also kind of like what's a skill that you'd like to be good at, but you wouldn't feel bad about like
missing the journey of it, of learning it.
of earning it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
That's,
this is a skill that I don't mind that, and that's why I said like cryptocurrency trading or something. Because I'm like, I don't give a fuck if I, just tell me all the cheat codes now. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
a journey.
Like, that's what I was
Whereas-
thinking. My immediate reaction when you said like something that not even jiu-jitsu related, it was something like I would love to be like an excellent day trader.
yeah.
You know, like just to have that instinct. Because
Yeah.
I'm certain like there's a certain there's a technical end of day trading, but there's also like a gut scratch your belly kind of feeling end of day trading too, right? So and like there's a certain amount of like risk aversion that you have to just like get rid of to allow you to try to get into something like cryptocurrency.
Well, and
or,
I don't know. Now we're getting out of my element to a degree, but I feel like when I look at how stocks have performed in the tech sector, I kind of knew about all that stuff that was contributing to why stocks were going up and down. Like I knew what good reputable companies were because I was a geek and I was very familiar with that. Especially like now the gaming's blown up. It's like there's game companies stock prices that have shot up that people are like, oh, this is such a great stock. It's like I fucking knew that this company was going to do well because they had Blizzard created World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
and people didn't know about Activision Blizzard back in the day. And then they started seeing that, oh my God, these guys have over 10 million subscribers and they're charging them $15 a month. This is a great revenue stream. You know what I mean? So I think I've heard some people say like invest in what you know. So I think if you just like, I'm not saying the risk aversion, having that mentality doesn't play a role into it, but I also think just having knowledge of the space in which you're investing, the sector in which you're investing. So if I could just download a chip and be like, I have full awareness of like, like I have a finger on the pulse of things, then that's all you kind of need. Like I feel like here, it's like, you know who the good. A person can come in and look at belts, and that'll tell one story. You can walk in and you've rolled with everyone, and you know how you would rank the people, or you know what the actual story is. You know, that's the difference I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Man, do you have any other questions, Victor? Victor's great.
No, I just
we gotta bring him on full time, man.
No, I just because I read
you
that.
want an unpaid position?
And I was really, really interested on that, like just asking people that, like, what would you? And I get it's a broad question. That's why I don't really care when you make. Okay, I could do this with that because it's super broad. I mean, well,
yeah, there's no right answer.
If that actually happened, you would be like, you know.
All right, if you could go to, I can't wait. If you could go to, I won't say one because that's just too hard. I think if you could go to 3, if you could spend a month in 3 different jiu-jitsu / martial arts academies, what would they be?
Oh.
Kyotera, Louisville with jiu-jitsu.
What was the second one?
Louisville is the guy that does jiu-jitsu.
Derby City Martial Arts.
Derby City Martial Arts. That's what it's called. So Kyotera, them, and then for third one I would do, and this one is just out of like curiosity. I would do the Henry Gracie Academy, just out of curiosity, just because I'm like.
Wow, that's a broad set of.
Yeah, it's like they're completely 3 different.
And I'll tell you why.
Extremely different.
My first choice will always be Kyotera because I'm a super incredible fan of Mikey.
Mike Musemi.
Musumi, because he's like a little guy who did the absolute, and I think that gives little guys hope.
Did anybody ever beat him for $10,000 or it was?
I don't
know if anyone even
wasn't the whole thing that was like
yeah, but nobody like grappled him.
Oh really? I was like, Gordon Ryan could probably just do it.
Well, and anyways,
that's funny. Didn't you hear the story about Gordon when they were doing the ADCC camp?
Oh yeah, he said that he didn't want to like do it.
Gordon rolled with him, and he couldn't pass his guard. And Gordon was the one that said that. Gordon was the one who posted
in
like
the gi, yeah.
Really?
No, not in the gi.
Oh, not in the gi?
No, they did no gi.
Oh shit.
Yeah, for ADCC, right?
Gordon, he's like, I roll with Mikey, and I couldn't pass his guard all day, and I'm extremely frustrated.
Really?
He's like, I have to go. Now, I don't know what happened the next day. He's like, I'm thinking about how I'm going to go back tomorrow and figure this out.
That's it. That's really.
So
was that during that like
that camp where the guy bring him into Miami or something? They're all in South Florida. All those guys.
Really?
So that was Gordon's admission.
Good for him. I feel like I should have said American Top Team Orlando with Paul Rodriguez.
No, outside of that.
I'm just kidding. I'm home.
What about you,
guys?
Chris? Well, I'll let you think. I'll give you.
Yeah,
one.
I was like, that's
so. I would want to train at Henzo's because I just want to see what that place is like and the
New York City one.
Yeah, the Danaher guy. I want to see the Danaher death.
So that's your curiosity choice, or not?
No, I think it would be. I think you'd learn a lot.
Oh well, obviously, but I'm saying like this. So
it's funny.
I'm asking that because for me, my choices are one is like definitely for advancement of skill. The other one is it's like a love for like a certain culture.
I think
jiu-jitsu
is probably very similar to our culture here.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine. Right? I love for a certain culture.
Same type of tribe.
Yeah, and then the third one is just curious. I'm like, how did this guy make so many millions of dollars the way he teaches and the way he sells things and the way he acts and the way he does?
Because I mean, first off, like Horian has like a master's in business first, right?
Yeah, so I just want to experience that aspect of his stuff.
Like, I mean, sales is a big part of their success, I would say as well. Like,
yeah, so that's why my 3 options. That's why I'm asking you that. But I get it.
It's good, and what's weird is like I keep wanting to say I want to train at Marcelo's, but I don't know if it's
Chihuahua.
It's because maybe Chihuahua trained there, and it just seems like I don't know. It just seems like he's gotten. Here's the honest truth. My perception from the outside seems like Marcelo, that thing has grown so much, you might not get the benefit of actually training with Marcelo. It would only be like if this gym blew up, you're not going to train with Paul as much.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to train with all the other. And I'm not saying those guys you can't learn from, but it's just it's become more of an academy with a famous name behind it instead of an intimate setting. So I think Henzo's my first. Gosh, this is tough, man. This is really tough.
I've thought about this. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I know. You kind of thought about it. I had a couple people like that popped into my head that I'd really kind of. It wasn't. People talk about the Mendez brothers, so maybe the Mendez brothers. But I'm gonna say, fuck it. I want to say they're Henzo's, Atos, because I just want to see what like the Mecca school is going to be like, and how. And I do think Galvao is a tremendous teacher based on his videos. Like, I think his knowledge is there. And then I definitely want to get a smaller guy in there. I think Kai Otero is a really good one, but there's someone else that I was thinking of that I couldn't. Fuck, man, you were ready. This guy was
thought about
prepared.
it.
I'm like, he's really thought
Dude,
about
I have
that,
thought
like-
about this.
This guy
And
was
it's like it's not because I'm gonna move anytime soon, but I'm saying like again I have those 3 categories. Which one's
okay.
it's straight up?
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
50-50 Academy with Ryan.
Oh,
Hall.
Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one
that's
because
a good
when I
one.
saw him in the Ultimate Fighter, I was a fan. I was like, this guy is pretty cool.
Yeah, I because I think that would be a different mindset. I was gonna throw the meows in there, but I don't know if the meows.
Unity.
How much are they gonna benefit your game? Or
Well,
like,
no. Well, I don't know, but I think they're interesting. But I think part of me wanted to say Legion with Keenan, but right now, the lapel thing is
American Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think there is a good teacher, but I think Ryan Hall is a very good teacher, but he has a different take, a drastically different take on things, and I think that would be very interesting. So Henzo is just to see the monsters, the no-gi monsters. Atos HQ is to see the gi monsters, and where all the what that level's like.
Yeah.
Those are like 2 huge that have at the helm like very well-known instructors that are well regarded. As an auxiliary pick, I don't know of any. It would be cool to just train in Brazil at a good academy and just get that experience. But that's a honorable mention.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
So first and foremost, you can probably guess where my first would be.
Oh, SPG.
SVG, man. SVG headquarters at Portland, Oregon. Training with the man himself, Matt.
Yeah.
My next pick would probably be TriStar.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a
really good one.
TriStar,
That's a
because
good
like
one.
I could do like
George.
jiu-jitsu.
God damn it.
And like I could do like MMA and kickboxing.
Exactly.
And stuff, right?
You
like,
get
I
a
would get
good
like
one
a
for-
full.
You know what? Here's the thing. I was thinking Jiu-Jitsu.
And like
So fuck you guys.
and for a small school, actually, Beta Academy where JB came from.
Oh, in
Washington.
Washington D.C. because like I was following them, like they had randomly liked one of my jiu-jitsu posts when I first started on Instagram, like I don't even know how many years ago, and like so I started like we follow each other, right? And I actually remember seeing JB in some of their posts.
Can anybody in Beta
Really?
Academy?
Yeah,
corroborate?
like
I'm pulling up Beta
Can
Academy
anybody
right
in
now.
Beta Academy?
so Beta
corroborate this?
Academy, and like one of the things that JB said to me, I was like, "Where'd you?" He was wearing like a Beta
Is
Academy
it like
shirt.
Beta, like Alpha Beta?
Yeah. And he was wearing like a Beta Academy shirt or had that bag or something. I was like, oh, is that where? Like, where'd you get that shirt? And like, he's like, oh, that's where I train. I'm like, God, I knew I saw you from somewhere, right? Because he would wear his like Goku stuff and like that sort of thing. And I'm like, I've seen
Man, I
you in
miss
their
JB.
fucking posts. So like Beta Academy, and he said like one of the things that really he enjoyed about our gym is that like he had the same kind of vibe that they had there, So I would probably fit in very well. So those
Yeah,
3
that's cool.
gyms. I mean, like, and of course, like I love jiu-jitsu, of course, but like I just love martial arts in general, which is why I think I would probably lean more towards less competition jiu-jitsu oriented schools and more towards like
The cultural thing.
jiu-jitsu is a portion of what they do, but ultimately MMA is what they do.
Yeah.
And that's why like a place like TriStar, SBG, and Beta, like they're all more than just jiu-jitsu schools, and
Yeah.
they're not. I mean, like I don't keep up with the competitions, but obviously they're not any of the big names within competitions and
Yeah.
stuff. But like that those would be my picks, So
That's actually one of those things that kind of draw me to this place so much that, again, I like the culture of it. I think that's a huge thing. And that's why, there's the distinction for me, like I said before, is one that's like specifically for technique growth.
yeah,
One that's for like a curiosity factor that I'm like, I want to see how this actually is when I'm inside. And the third one for like, this is a culture that I would like to experience,
yeah, like
Dude, this guy got his black belt, so Nakapan. That's the name of the head instructor.
I don't know. They just
I don't
post
even
cool
know
stuff.
how to say his last name. Jeez.
You'll see JB in their photo somewhere.
Well, I'm on their website.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
He got his black belt under Pedro Sauer,
Really?
and he
Okay.
got it in 2003.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
He's been around.
He's been around, brother.
And Pedro Sauer's he's a Hickson black belt.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the only story I remember is that JB said his coach, this guy, broke Nicky Ryan's foot with an Estima lock in a competition.
Oh, no.
Really? And Nicky Ryan must have been like 14 or something.
Right.
Or something. And he broke his foot apparently, so go figure. But yeah, he said the guy's very good. So, dude, he was a no-gi world's middleweight champion at black belt, I believe. Yeah.
There you go.
2016.
So, like, Beta Academy would be fun. You know, like, it's not a big name. I mean, like, it is a big name, but it's not, right? But it's also, like, anything I've gathered from the gym,
it seems very comprehensive.
Cool,
I mean, they offer Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, mixed MMA, wrestling.
Gym, right?
They have a bunch of people listed under their staff page, too. So.
And I thought about training up there when I visited Virginia last year when we went to a family vacation. But Stacey was like, you ain't going on a family vacation.
That's the thing that we always say is going to happen, never happens.
It never does.
Because we go on vacation, the jiu-jitsu chip just turns off. You're just you.
But I mean, that's not to say that I haven't looked around.
A lot, you're like, I like the break.
Like, I'm not trying to like compliment myself, but I'm not really trying to. When I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation from jiu-jitsu as well.
To disconnect, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to train. Really.
So your three would be SPG, TriStar, and Beta Academy.
Beta Academy, yeah. All MMA gyms, basically, you know.
No interest in going to that like Muay Thai place in Thailand.
Nah, man.
No,
like,
dude,
I don't want to fucking.
Like, for Muay
I like
Thai,
air conditioning, man.
That'd be a cool thing. I would like to experience that at some point, you know, because I do want to travel a lot more and stuff like that when I graduate and shit. So that's one of those things that I talked to JB about this a while ago, about like training in like a Thai camp and shit, like the crazy routines that they do. I would like to experience that at least like for a little bit. I think it'd be cool. And this coming from, I don't want to be a pro fighter or anything like that. I just train for fun. I just train for like my own enjoyment. But I would like to experience that kind of thing. I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
I mean, anywhere where they go and they run a 5K before 2 hours
amazing,
of training,
dude. It's fucking awesome.
Like, holy shit, you know, like. But
and people complain when Chris makes people do air squats.
I know, right? Like they're like, oh god.
Chris has like infamous warm-ups where people puke and stuff. What's your record now? I think your record's like 4 people.
I think it was 2 or 3 in one day.
In one day.
In one class, actually.
But like in total, you have like
sprawl.
In like recent memory, you have like 4
I have
or 5
a lot of people puking in class.
Sprawl. Shoot. Start running it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, push up or not.
That's the.
You start doing jumping jacks. I'm like, God, this is old school. We're doing jumping jacks.
I will say this.
Jumping jacks are like a perfect exercise if you think about it.
I will say this.
Right?
Every time we do your warm-ups, I'm like pumped up, and you can attest to this now. I'm starting to get into like, yes.
I know. He's like, yeah. He's like, watch these weaker individuals fall to the wayside.
People are fucking pussies now, man.
There we go.
Boom.
This is from Chris Vu, ladies and gentlemen, the
like,
ultimate guard puller.
Chris, you're like, to me, and I don't mean this in any way positive or negative. I think you're like a super passive individual. And it's cool, you know.
Oh, that's.
But I've never witnessed you saying like, dude, people are fucking pussies. Like they just put it in the wall. It's cool.
People are weak, man.
The Brews in BJJ and Brews gets a different side of Chris out.
It does. I mean, like at least you're hearing it, and people are like.
We need to get you drunk more often when you grapple, when you teach.
Like
classes.
if you can't survive my warm up, Jesus Christ! Like, come on.
I have some. I agree with that. I feel like you and even Coach Ball talks about. I think he talks about this in that video that nobody talks about.
The video everyone's seen,
but nobody. But no one.
Low key is like we've seen it on the down low, but we don't acknowledge that we've seen it.
You gotta stay quiet about.
What are the 5? We talked about. What are the 5 things?
But anyways, and one of those things that
is being in shape.
Is being in shape, yeah. And I think that's and because even for a straight self-defense scenario,
that's one of those crazy things that always intrigues me, right? Like jiu-jitsu, a lot of people join for like the idea of getting in shape,
but it never happens. I'm just kidding.
But it does
for certain people.
A lot of times,
yeah,
and it doesn't. A lot of the times too. So like, let's say it's like a 50-50 thing, right? Like, it's always intrigued me.
So I have to interrupt. Even for the people that don't seem to get in shape doing jiu-jitsu, which
they're in better shape than they were.
Imagine if they didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Dude, this beer is getting to me because I'm talking a lot more than I started.
I know. Look at that. This guy's talking.
You haven't even gotten through half of that thing, man.
Dude, I just started drinking.
Pussy.
I'm about to chuck this now.
There we go.
Are you gonna have to split the rest of that with me? And yes,
give it a swig.
This is really good. Like it's so
better
tasty.
as it gets warmer.
It's
right?
so tasty. Yeah. When
so
it's warmer, it's better.
I think when it comes to the warm up and stuff, I think your warm up is fine with a intermediate to advanced class with colored belts.
Oh, come on.
No, here's the thing. I think white belts need to be shown how to warm up. You can't assume that they know how to warm up.
But I don't do anything so technical that requires.
This is tennis player Noah
I understand. You're not doing technical, like you're doing just calisthenics, movements that everyone should be familiar with.
Yep.
Right?
That you should be familiar with by the time you're 7 years old.
I get that. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is I feel like I'm starting to come around more to the Gracie thinking in terms of how to approach white belt.
Oos.
You mean coddle the shit out of them?
Oos.
Yeah.
Or
well, not coddle the shit. I mean, yeah.
But Chris,
or ease them in. Yeah.
But we do that here.
No, absolutely we do.
That here.
But like we definitely.
I mean, one of Coach Paul's biggest things
it's
when
progressive
we're doing the
resistance,
intro
right?
is saying we're gonna ease you into this process, which I get. That's how you get people.
Basically,
to
what I'm saying is I don't think Victor's familiar with the guy. You might be familiar with him because we've talked about it. I think it's a combination of the Gracie Academy approach and what this Estonian black belt Preet is preaching.
Yeah.
Where I think we can. There are going to be guys like Victor that already have a predisposition to grappling and can be quickly whisked into just a normal jiu-jitsu class, and they'll be fine. But there are far more, and this is especially critical from the business sense of how do we retain, members in an academy, where you can present jiu-jitsu in a different way, in a progressive way. When I mean progressive, not progressive like in terms of progressions, not like progressive versus conservative, but rather like a progression of, hey, I'm just going to show you what an armbar is, and we're going to be working that position and keep it super basic, something that would probably bore the hell out of Victor because he already has grappling experience and wants to go live. There are probably more people that would do jiu-jitsu if it were presented in a way that's not how it's currently presented, where it's more role-centric. The thing that I have a conflict with is, are you teaching jiu-jitsu still when you do that? That's my kind of like philosophical question. Are we like, what do they say, watering it down? Are we, doing things different? Are we doing like cardio grappling now?
I think you are if there is a progression that you stick to. You know what I'm saying? Like
we are doing what?
At some point, they should be working to sparring.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's the end goal.
You talked about this progression from going to starting in a specific position and showing you only these things, and then I feel like if there is that progression that you're gonna get to this point at this amount of time, regardless, I think you are teaching jiu-jitsu because it's. I mean, the way I think they did it when Coach Paul started training, I think that's a bad way to sell it now.
Yeah, I mean that definitely weeded out people, but it might have also kept a few people that would have been really talented away too.
What are you talking about? I missed something.
Like the old school method. Like I'm sure it did weed out all the softies, but it probably pushed away people that could have been very good.
Yeah, like you could have definitely, like
you could have definitely developed this person. Yeah, but I'm saying you can onboard somebody very slowly, but as long as we're meeting this, let's say, deadline of, okay, by this point you should be able to grapple with a little intensity.
Like it's the idea of like how do you teach a takedown, right?
As long as we're meeting that.
Well, like let's say somebody who's 65 walks in here and they want to learn jiu-jitsu. Like how do you?
That's a
bit extreme. I get that, right?
Super example.
But like, and you want to work on something like
jiu-jitsu, bro.
Takedown defense with them. You don't have somebody shoot at them right off the bat, right? Like you have somebody crawl at them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and then you build from there, right? Like, and that method shouldn't be any different for other people, right? Like, because it works for them, it definitely works for other people.
Let me be more specific, because Victor kind of helped me organize my thoughts in my mind a little better. I think what we can take, what I'm saying we could take from the Gracie Academy is a little more formalized structure in what are the key lessons that we need to teach a brand new person to get them ready for a regular jiu-jitsu class.
And based upon what I have observed and seen in their curriculum, it's self-defense based, right?
We know that. They're all about self-defense.
Movement based.
Mm-hmm.
And then once those movements are learned and mastered, you start applying it against progressively resisting opponents.
So that's where the Preet thing comes in, because I
Yes.
think most people, including us, do a terrible job with progressive resistance drilling. We don't coach
I don't
people.
think we necessarily do. I think over time you learn to do it.
It's not coached explicitly of how to do
Exactly,
it.
but
That's where I'm saying.
You know what I really like about Coach Paul's approach, having like experienced it when I helped him out with the intros and stuff, that I think a lot of his approach is, how do I avoid making people feel dumb? Because that's what turns you down, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Like if
when
they're
you're-
unsuccessful on the first rep because you're resisting, like
Yeah, but
Say-
it's not
like-
even that. It's like it's when you're doing something and you feel like you're not getting it, and or when you're grappling live with somebody more experienced, that person is helping you out and they don't mind helping you out, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
In your mind, you're slowing them down.
That's the huge, and this is the Preet thing. The Preet
So-
thing is there's a disconnect between training and going live, because you train and everything succeeds because the person doesn't resist at all, and then you go live and it doesn't work because the person's resisting 100%, and the student's like, what the fuck?
But I'm going even beyond that. It's like when you're as a white belt that you just drill close guard, and then you get to an S mount-esque position. You're like, you stop there, and in your mind, well, I'm stupid because I don't know what to do here. And this guy most think I'm stupid, even if the person in the bottom doesn't think you're stupid because he's helping you out.
Look
right?
at the fucking warm-up when they all look around on the first day and they're like, wait, what
And
are they doing now?
I
We're
think-
doing like shots,
Yeah,
like a
and I
penetration
think-
step. What's that?
a lot of
You know?
that's what I think his approach is on that, because he tries to how do I decrease that? How do I make people feel like they're following along? They're
Yeah.
and I think that's really good.
I think one thing, especially when so like I think kickboxing and stuff is approached. An intro for that can be approached far differently than jiu-jitsu, because
We're talking strictly jiu-jitsu.
okay, we're
right?
talking specifically jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because,
fuck off,
for example,
Chris,
like something
with
like
your Muay
kickboxing,
Thai.
the end game is what's that?
I'm just kidding.
I just call it kickboxing because
I'm just kidding. I just said.
But like the end game for that is very simple, right? Hit the other person.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, people don't even fucking understand the difference between guard and mount and whatever it is, right? And I think one of the things that could be taught to a new student, very simply, is
Hierarchy of positions.
and why, right? Because at that point, they understand. They may not know how they got there, whatever the case is, but they understand why it's a bad position.
Who said? I want to ask you because you may know, and you, Professor Noah, might know more about this. I can't remember who I read this from, but somebody said that the IBJJF point system is based on where you can
Ability to
strike
strike.
better. Who said that?
That's the Danaher Rogan
Is that
thing.
true?
That's the Danaher thing. Yeah,
Is that true?
That's from
That's from the
where
interviewer.
you can.
Strike better.
It's where you can progressively strike better. Yeah.
Is that true? Is that a
Yeah,
thing?
because original jiu-jitsu is based on fight.
So is that how the point system got developed?
Yeah, it's because you.
Oh, okay.
And you're not.
I don't know if I'll just defer to Chris. I just heard that theory from Danaher. I don't know
It
if
was
it was
his
factual.
interview with Joe Rogan where he explained.
that's
he
what it was.
I don't know if that
espoused
was
a lot,
I think
factual
that's what
or
it
not.
was.
I don't know if it's factual. I know it's been modified over time because that's why like you don't get points for escapes, like you do in wrestling, right? But you don't get points for escapes.
Well, you get for reversals, which is our kind of escapes,
Which you
but
don't
you have to
get
end up in a better
points.
position.
You don't get points for reversals in jiu-jitsu though, right? You only get points for sweeps. So like you get points for constantly putting yourself in a better position to strike, but you don't get points for escaping a bad position in jiu-jitsu. But yeah, like that's from my understanding. That's why the point system was set up the way it is.
Okay.
That's where I learned it.
I mean, I
actually,
agree.
in
like,
mastering jiu-jitsu. Actually,
I found myself telling because like we've had this influx of brand new students. I found myself telling them concepts, like high level objective concepts.
Yeah.
Like, hey, in general, when you're in close guard, when you're on bottom, you're trying to get that person you're trying to pull the person down and
Yes.
close to you. When you're the person on top, you're trying to do the opposite. You're trying to make a good frame and posture up. So I think that goes with what you're saying. It's like, look, over time, you're going to see exceptions, and as you get better at jiu-jitsu, you're going to see other pathways. But in general, you want to progress from being on your back to being in side control to being in mount.
super meta, right? Like,
And from mount,
But
either
if they
to
can
stay in mount
understand
or to go to
that-
back.
if they can get that on that roadmap in the top of their head,
Just at a high
From
level.
the
And
very
understand
beginning.
that, and I think the intelligent thing is understand that, look, as you get better, you're going to start to see lessons and things that go against that maybe in some ways.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, let's look at being in close guard, right? Like, you're in my close guard. In Jiu-Jitsu, it's accepted as neutral, right? But, like, as you progress, like, if they're square, then you understand that there's no back exposure. If they get an arm across, then there's a little bit of back exposure, and you start climbing, and their sweeps and the submission attempts, right? Like, and those will come over time. Like, what you guys have rolled with enough new people at this point, and you start rolling, right? Like, the end of class, it's like we got 5 minutes, and they literally say, "What do I do? What do I do?"
That's what I think you want to avoid. You want to give him an objective, a clear
exactly,
objective.
and you say, "All right, so right now in your
As a
bottom,
general rule of thumb,
yeah, like right now, I have my legs around you because that's my thing. I lock my legs on, right? You need to try to get around my legs, right? Because that's an obstacle for you right now, and try to pin me down. Like, think of a wrestling pin, right? Like, and I don't think they even understand, because they don't understand even the rules yet, and they don't understand the objectives other than tap the guy out. Like, there is something as general as position control submission. Like, that alone, I think if we espouse that to a newer student, that would also give them.
Ryan would vastly disagree with
I know
that.
he would, but like, you have to play the percentages, and either way.
No, I think it's, again, teaching objectives, and even like half guard, which I think is a position where you can go in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You could still just say, look, if you're in half, where we started in a bad half guard position. If you're the half guard player on bottom, right, you were flat on your back. The guy had a cross face and underhook, the classic bad start position that we always.
Yeah.
If we say, look, this is the way half guard look. If things are going badly for the bottom guy, try and get a frame, create space.
Yeah, they'll start
get
reverse
a Z,
engineering it, right?
Get Z guard, and that's an improvement. And now you can go to close guard,
right?
And if you want to get fancy, hey, you can go to the underhook and do a sweep. Now, do you show them like, hey, you can do the Shaolin sweep, or hey, you can dive and do these other funky? No, you don't. They'll learn that, and they'll say, exactly. I can actually. There are other pathways I can take.
I think you
but
start
show
with
them
the
base
highest percentage thing, and then from there,
or just the
they'll figure it
fundamental
out.
basic stuff, because
Yeah,
that
like
stuff will never
structurally,
fail.
right?
That
Yeah.
stuff will never fail. If they don't do the Shaolin, but they get good at the very basic stuff we just described, they're going to be very good grapplers.
Yes,
that's fucking Hodger Gracie.
That's Hodger Gracie to the mat. Yeah, like 100%.
You know,
yeah.
So I think you're right. I think like Reagan today. Reagan's like, what do I do in this situation?
What do I do, right? Like, what do they say, right?
What do I do? And it's like, well, in general, or okay, I got a mount. Now I don't know what to do. Like, we got out of the position we're in. I was working with two guys, brand new guys, and they both started back mount, right? And they don't, and yeah, they're like, you have to show them some etiquette stuff, like, don't grab individual fingers, breathe, don't panic.
That must be a super instinctive things to do.
You panic. And like, the
to
adrenaline
just grab people's fingers.
Think about it. Adrenaline starts to kick in. When you're white, adrenaline kicks in. And as an experienced grappler, you relax, and the adrenaline does not kick in. When a guy's smashing you on top, your adrenaline's not kicking. You're frustrated.
Right.
You're exerting yourself when you're trying to escape, but you're not like animalistically like and thrashing around.
Like, so like there's something that Danaher talks about a lot, and Thornton talks about a lot, is like the micro positions, right? Like posture. Like Thornton calls it posture.
But that's beyond the level that these guys can understand, I think.
I don't think it is, right? Because, like, for example, we talked about today, and actually kind of Paul talked about it in the lesson today, is like, if I'm top half guard, I wouldn't want to do this because, like, and it's just the dude just bucks and you just fucking go over, right? Like, so you have to teach the person on top like a fundamental position.
But I agree with Noah that might be a little too much to grasp.
Is that too much?
I think so.
I'm talking about the very beginners, yeah.
Yeah, for a very beginner.
But so let's look at all fundamental positions, right? Like,
because
in
at
general.
least, hang on, sorry to interrupt. I think the one thing I'd say is, look, if you get a guy in top half guard, so we got the beginner. We've told them one thing. If you're in close guard, getting to half guard is better for you.
All right.
If you're in half guard, try to get to side control.
Or mount. Yeah.
Right?
But if you go up the hard way.
Yeah, so in his mind, he's like, I'm trying to get to side control, let's just say.
Yes.
Okay? So he's doing whatever he thinks he knows to try and get free that leg. and then he keeps getting rolled. He keeps getting swept. And he's like, gosh, I keep getting swept, you know? Well, at least he's frustrated in something that's happening to him. He's not frustrated in lacking ideas of what to do. Because I think the former can be motivating, the latter can be very frustrating and,
he has an end game
demotivating.
In mind, right?
He had an objective. And then the next step is, if you can show people why they lose, now you've eliminated another possible demotivator. If people lose and they don't know why, it's frustrating. If you lose and you know why, if I'm rolling with Victor and he gets me in a bow and arrow and I have no idea why he got me in the bow and arrow, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? But if he got me in a bow and arrow and I know it's like, God, I tried to get that frame there and I missed and he beat me to the cross face and he was able to. Now I know it's like, fuck, I got to do that better next time. And now I want to go like, let's go again, you know, like, so I think that's the other thing. I don't disagree with what you're saying would help. I think the bare minimum for a brand new person, the better. And I think that, in my opinion, might be a slight reach.
What, to teach them like the hierarchy
what top
positions?
Control position? No, what some basic principle of top control?
I think basic principles in general. I'm saying like
I think it's just about clear objectives, you know, and that's what he's saying, you know.
I mean,
having
sure,
like very things that you appreciate later on. It's like, oh, this is a general concept that like
passing with an underhook.
I gotta pass with the other side.
Yeah,
you know how long it took me to realize that was a principle?
But if I told you that,
even if he probably said it, it never registered.
But
with
if
me.
he told you that as a white belt, you're like, okay. What I get, but you know, but you don't appreciate it because you're not really interested in that. You want clear objectives of clear things of what to do right now to do better.
I think my thing is, and maybe it's my mentality, but it's like if you tell them your goal is to go from this position, close guard to half guard, and then from half guard to side control, then that in and of itself gives a goal, a very clear goal. All they have to learn is what the different positions are, which aren't too many if we talk about those
like,
standard,
10
maximum. Obviously, we're not talking about the intricacies of orientations and each of
deep half and whatever.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about that. If someone goes deep half on a white belt, let the white belt be like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And then they're going to end up in half guard and they're going to be like, okay, I know I'm on bottom, I need to go to close guard. If they have those clear objectives, then you can just tell them, this is what this position looks like, this is where you're trying to go, and this is what it looks like. Figure it out. And they're going to start doing jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
And then they'll start caring more about the technique that relates to them going from position A to position B. They'll be like, So I think that's why we're all in agreement with what you said. Give the hierarchy of these are what the positions are. So our intro class, right, is show them movements, what a hip escape is, what a shrimp is. Just get them competent to do our warm-up. Teach them what they need to know to go through our standard warm-up. And then show them the basic positions, and maybe for shits and giggles, show them the basic submissions. What a triangle is, what an armbar is, what a rear naked choke is.
Yeah, because those are recognizable too, right?
Super recognizable. I wouldn't even show them a kimura.
I wouldn't even show. Actually, I wouldn't show them a triangle, but I would show them armbar, rear naked choke.
Yeah,
because those are like.
So they have a
jiu-jitsu,
basic,
right? Like when you think
you've
jiu-jitsu,
seen it in John Wick.
If they know those things, and that's also adding a little bit of sizzle to help keep people attached. Like, because what's more exciting? I learned what half guard is, or I learned how to do an armbar when they go home talking to their significant other, or talking to their friends, or just thinking. Like, that's more exciting. So, I think you need to balance that a little bit. But those three things: warm up movements, what the basic positions are, and the hierarchy of them. Why one's better than the other. That's key.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I'm
just saying.
The only reason why I even say that too is, right, it used to frustrate me to hell when I was like a purple belt and like kind of starting on my instructing journey. And somebody would be trying to... I would be working with somebody and they would like... I think they would like a blue belt. And I remember this distinctly. That's why it frustrated me so much. And they had full mount on me. Couldn't finish me. Because I was just like, just eventing where it was. It was actually a female. And so she literally grabbed my head and rolled me into her guard. I was like, why the fuck did you do that? Like, keep on working and try to finish me instead of rolling back. Right? And I was like, why'd you do that? Like, why didn't you fucking try to turn me onto one side and try to take my back or do something instead? And she had, like, at that point, she was literally like zoned out. right? And this is a blue belt. So I was like, she had no idea that she was pulling me into a better position and pulling herself into a worse position, right? Like that alone,
especially from a self-defense point of view,
right? Like
if you're mounted off an assailant, but you feel more comfortable to roll
exactly.
in,
I'm
now
like,
they're gonna start punching
so like
you.
you're like that's where like I think it's a failure for us as instructors sometimes is providing not just a clear objective in what we're doing at that very moment, but like a very broad introduction to what jiu-jitsu is. Like strategically and like why we do certain things. Why do we not pull somebody from fucking full mount into your own guard?
Dude, I think we solved it. I think we've got our intro lesson for the pre-fundamentals class because I think that
Coach Paul.
I think that allows fundamentals class to be taught. A fundamentals class to me should be able to be taken by any level, and they should all get something out of it.
Sure.
I think the intro, like the guppy course to get everyone ready, should be tailored specifically for brand new people to get them prepared for taking a fundamentals class.
Yes.
Right? And they
with
should
a little razzle dazzle.
With a little
tiny bit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Hip hop soup is magical to
yeah,
people.
but what that will allow us to do is they understand what's being taught in fundamentals class.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know, they understand the words, the terminology. And I think it makes a lot of sense. It will, if you give them the idea of, look, your goal is to go from here to here, figure it out, then they're gonna.
It's already a better start than like, what do I do?
And now they're gonna like mess around, and then they're gonna have questions. And now the lessons we give about specific techniques, passes, are gonna resonate more because they've already tried themselves.
Yeah,
and they've already had
a module to them at that point.
Now,
right? Like
going beyond that, the separate issue is, oh my God, hang on. Side note here, is this the I'm not gonna touch anything?
No, it's
tool that we see on Instagram
it's a
all the
COVID
time.
key. Yes, that's what it is.
So I'm looking at Chris's keychain, and it seems he has a new one on his keychain. I haven't seen this before. That looks like the thing that allows you to press buttons and stuff.
It's terrible at touchscreens.
So what's this rated edge for?
I haven't figured that out yet. It's not even on like the brochure.
Carl, what on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most lethal, 1 being not that lethal, how good would this keychain thingy be used as a weapon?
Carl's a resident weapons expert.
No, this is actually new. So.
Oh, this is new?
No, my other one. I figured it's like I'll be traveling.
Speaking to the mic, Carl. Speaking to the mic.
It's meant to open doors. Jesus Christ.
Come on. Like a 2.
A 2. Oh.
You gotta improve your game, Chris.
I mean, it's good to have something.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Could you think you could grasp that and punch someone like a
flashlight would be better.
Oh, there you go.
Flashlight would be like 4.
So carry a flashlight, bro. All right. Thanks, Carl. Carl will review anything on your keychain and let you know how you can weaponize it.
Don't put your keys through your fist. That's like a terrible idea.
Flash and blind, and then hit at the same time.
Okay, so Carl's saying you take your flashlight, you flash, you can blind, and then you can hit. There you go.
Goddamn.
All right. Thank you, Carl.
But don't put, ladies, don't follow these fucking goofy karate classes and put your keys into your knuckles. That's just dumb. That's just, you're going to fuck your hands up. Because most people can't punch without breaking their hands in the first place, so let alone like trying to punch and maintain like the integrity of your fist with keys in between your fingers. Like it's not going to happen. Like boxers break their hands punching and they're trained punchers.
Absolutely.
Let alone some goofy woman who's taken an hour course by some guy who's never actually fought before.
So I think back to the curriculum ideas. I think it makes sense because they have an idea of what to do. Whether they're doing anything that makes sense is different, but they at least they know what they're trying to get to. And then as they learn a lesson, it should turn their untrained attempts to go from close guard to half guard, for example, into a trained attempt.
Yeah.
And a technical attempt to go from close guard to half guard or half guard
and
to
that's
side
where,
guard.
like you said, like the questions arise. Like, hey, I know I need to do this, but this guy always does this.
Exactly.
And
that was my experience with
like
here at the beginning school side control. I was always in side control bottom. All right, what do I get out?
This guy's jamming his bicep into my face.
So then
how do I...
The first escape, And then I would say I'd start doing it, and then they'd immediately go to position 1. It's okay. Now how do I get out of position? And that's how I got better at that.
But you're also willing to ask the questions.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the own,
absolutely. But giving those objectives to people, I think, is key. And then you can start giving them heuristics and basic like rule of thumbs and concepts in terms of you're doing better in this position if this is happening. You're doing worse if this is happening.
Yeah, and the amount of control you have in that position.
Correct.
Right?
Now,
like either bad, top or bottom.
Now the separate topic is the progressive resistance. And actually coaching what progressive resistance is. So basically, we need to spend more time with the training partners
about how to be a good partner.
Yeah, how to be a good uke for your guy. You know what I mean? And because a lot of my best development has come when Victor and I are very focused on not winning, but rather giving a reasonable look, but giving a look that allows them to work. That allows like Victor's going to defend my pass, but he's not. So here's the argument. He's not going to try and shut it down.
Here's the argument against progressive resistance that I hear from even some higher belts is like.
By the way, Paul just posted a story of a scramble from today with Mike and Victor.
It was an awesome scramble.
And Victor has been watching this thing on repeat now. In silence the last 5 minutes. He's like hyper analyzing things. We need to have a camera and videotape our rolls. You know how much time we'd be like, God, what are we doing?
I have a bad habit of every time he posts like something of just doing anything, I'm like looking at it. I'm like, what was that? What was I doing there?
Like what was I thinking at that moment?
Yeah, and it was weird. And there's this one part I just showed Noah that I'm like, I could have done something there, but I didn't do it. And I'm like. But yeah, it's just like.
Did you recognize it at that moment though, or you only recognize it now?
No, because we were just scrambling, we were just going, and I'm looking at the video, and it's like, God damn it, I should have just kind of committed to that a little better. Maybe that would have given me a better chance. Because at the end of the scramble is I come up for a double, and Mike just kind of
he mics a heebies you, yeah.
He whips me over and mounts me, and then we end up in like a guillotine, and I get out, and I get to deep half and whatnot. But the bottom line is I'm on bottom of Mike's Sahibi, and I don't want to be there.
Yeah, so nobody does.
So yeah, man, it's weird.
Yeah, you're giving up 70 pounds.
Yeah.
What's his weight?
I mean,
Sahibi?
Sahibi is over 200.
You say,
is he really?
What do I weigh?
And he weighs 130.
Is Sahibi over 200?
Yeah.
No, he's like 190. Well, I mean,
no, he's over 200 right now.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
God damn. Okay.
But yeah, progressive resistance, right? Like,
but even if he's 190, okay, he's 190, 60 pounds.
It's like it's always annoyed me to grapple anybody in the learning process to be introduced to something, and they're resisting you 100%.
I shut that shit down, bro.
It's like, did you like
we have a term for that.
We won't use it.
But it
refers to a former grappler here.
It's obnoxious, right? Like, and like, what's interesting is like, I've always tried to be the teacher by example. And so, like, when I'm partnered with you, if you're doing that to me, but I'm partnered with you, and I'm now the uke to you, I'm not going to do it to you. I'm going to let you learn and work properly, right? Like, you would think, hey, Chris, I'm partnered with Chris. He can't perform it because I'm resisting 100% when we're literally learning it. He's letting me work and work it. That when it's Chris's turn again, one would think if you were, let's just say, aware enough, that you wouldn't do that, right? But some people, they just completely are. It's like you have to explicitly be told.
No,
that.
dude, they were executing that pass against you because they were just better than you. They're like shocked at how good their technique was against this
when they
black
learned
belt.
it right there,
like,
right? Like,
I'm getting great at jiu-jitsu. I passed this black belt's guard when
but like
practicing
one would
it,
think that
and I
like,
was shutting his
people,
ass down when we were
No, but I mean, like, you gotta establish dominance quickly at first, and then you can just work. Well, I mean, it's funny.
Well, no, I'm gonna censor you on that. You don't want to tell that story.
No, I'm not gonna tell the story. I'm saying that sometimes, this is gonna sound arrogant as hell, but
dealing with
this 12% is getting
there
to
we
me.
go.
But with like certain people, it's like I don't get anything out of just senselessly just doing the same shit to you over and over again. I don't get anything out of that, right? So I'm gonna let you work, but also I don't want to give you this false sense that you're.
That's a very purple belt thing to say, by the way. But
I'll take it. Yeah. that you're like beating me up because you're not.
The views and opinions of Victor Padilla do not necessarily represent the views and opinions.
No,
of
I mean
BJJ and
like
Brews.
that's just. I mean like it's.
Mind you, this 12% is getting to me, so I'm saying
It's a good beer, though, ain't it?
I'm saying stupid shit. It's so tasty.
Tell them what the Victor formula is for
It's-
those people.
It's
What's
so
the Victor
tasty.
formula?
I don't want to say it now because you called me out.
I'm not telling you like who you're doing it, who you've done it with.
No,
but
But
what's the
sometimes
formula?
I understand. Sometimes, but so that's an interesting
So
thing.
we've
right?
talked
Like-
about how do you calm down? How do you calm someone down?
Okay, so I'll tell you.
So, I'll start with what Chris does to
Okay,
calm
okay,
people.
fine, that's
What
fine.
the way Chris calms people down is
think
he
it's the same
he
thing.
will mount and wet blanket the fuck out of them until they calm down.
until they're. I mean, yeah, and they're just.
until they're just kind of like. Ugh. All
And I'm just sitting there like,
Victor, on the
yeah,
other
yeah.
hand,
So mine is
You put them through the window, right? Like
no. That's not
mine's,
No?
mine is I try to tap you out as fast as I can.
Okay.
I will tap you just as quickly as I can. And sometimes, if depending on your skill and your aggressiveness, sometimes that happens between like the first minute. And
you might do that one or two times
yeah, and depend.
just to be like, look, I can tap you out just like that.
And that sounds arrogant as hell, but sometimes it's like,
And then at that point, it's like, let's work.
and then we can work. Yeah, exactly.
but that's the thing too, right? Like
That might calm some people. I think that his method might calm certain mentalities
but-
down
Yeah,
better
so
than
here's-
Chris's, and vice versa.
I just feel as though, and it's you could probably ask Paul about this, is like the idea of the mat enforcer versus having a conversation with the person,
Hashtag JB, I miss you, bro.
right? Like there's a huge difference. Like and I think a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, as we've kind of talked about, like the evolution of jiu-jitsu gyms and the way things are taught. What are you teaching to somebody by sicking the mat enforcer on them
So I will say this.
versus like just actually having a conversation? Because like most of the problems in
Some
the world,
people don't listen to words; they listen to action.
but like shouldn't you have the conversation first?
But here's the thing, in my perspective, I'm not doing that so you calm down, period. So you're a calm roll. No, I'm doing that to show you that I'm not getting anything out of doing this to you over and over again, personally.
But they don't understand that.
But
At that moment,
Eric
It's like an
Giannini
ego
does that
thing.
just because
It's
he
like
likes
it's
heel
like
hooking blue belts all the time.
it's like an ego thing, you know. Like I will say it's an ego thing.
okay,
I want
and the fact that you admit that it speaks,
no, it's-
that speaks of your character.
it's an ego
So,
thing. Like I want you to work, but I want you to know that, like this is for each of us benefit. You know, I'm working my escapes and I'm working my things, and you're doing your own thing. But it's absolutely
but
100%
how often?
an ego
Let
thing.
me ask you: does
This is a training round. This is not a competitive round, because if it was a competitive round, I would eat you alive.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's
But
like,
I don't
if we were
think that
competing
they.
right now,
I don't
would
think people
fucking
get that
kill you.
message.
And that's the thing.
I don't think people get that message.
I don't. That this thing is. It's not a message for them. It's for me. It's for my own ego. It's for. It's,
Oh,
Okay,
and I'll
like
admit that.
like
well, no, we can't
once
argue
again,
with that.
yeah,
And
no,
I'll
that's-
admit that.
I'm not. Yeah,
And I-
disputing
and I-
that
But
at
don't
all.
you think it? But you didn't. You also done that. You did that as a reaction, not because you felt threatened. It was quite the opposite. It was that you felt like these guys were out of control, and you're like, I need to calm. Like, you were trying to calm them down, were you not?
yeah. But yeah. Yeah, I don't
And
know.
your
Here's the
feeling
thing,
to calm these people down is by showing them that you can tap them out at will.
which
So
again,
it's-
super arrogant.
no, I,
But
No, I mean,
but I'll admit it's-
some people
hey,
respond.
The 12% is flowing.
it is fun.
The dogfish.
It is so
the-
tasty.
But
I-
I will speak from
I don't know how many times
a
I've said it.
business
It's
standpoint
so
and
tasty.
from a creating a culture standpoint. I'm not sure that's the best way
But
to
that's the
calm
thing. You don't do
somebody
it.
down.
You don't
I mean,
do that
how
with
often-
everybody.
I mean, how often
Yeah,
does it
you don't do that
happen?
with everybody
Doesn't
at all.
happen.
Like I don't. I
But like in my opinion, I'm just saying. Because it happens
in
with
his
white belts a
black
lot.
belt opinion, not the.
Isn't
the
it better
young
just to have a
whippersnapper.
conversation
Young-
first? But I mean, like that's the thing is like it's easier. I'm not. Now I'm saying it. The easier thing to do is that, right? Like to salvage dominance. The harder thing to do is to have a conversation.
I mean, I don't know. You're just saying a few words. You're opening your mouth. That's not that hard to do.
yeah, but man, like it's
Communicating is hard.
That's what I'm saying. Like to have the conversation, say, hey man, like I'm not calling you out. I'm not whatever. Like just calm the fuck down.
for
Like,
me,
you're
for
being
me,
a bad training
listen,
partner.
Listen, for
you know?
me, it all goes back to the ego. I feel like if I'm having that conversation with you, that somehow implies that your intensity is too much for me to handle.
So I'm going to attack this.
you
from
know
a
what I'm
different-
saying? It's
I-
like,
I get-
and
I mean, okay.
and that's I'm guilty of
So-
that ego thing. It's like if I talk to if Noah's in the first day and he's going crazy, and he's going crazy with me, right? And I pull him out after class, and I'm like, hey, no, you gotta calm down, man. That to me, that is somehow maybe in a certain bizarre world saying maybe your intensity is too much for me to handle, which I don't want to do that. I'm like, I'd rather you calm down by me calming you down, which is super arrogant again.
So
ego,
I'm gonna attack
thing.
this from a different perspective, and I think it's that the conversation needs to happen before, not the conversation you're saying, but what the conversation I'm thinking of is a conversation about etiquette, so that you tell them about etiquette, and then you say if you don't follow the rules, the person could react in a certain way. So that will then make them realize it's like, why is Victor doing what he's doing? Because I violated one of the ethic rules. Like there's a cause and effect to it.
Sure.
So for example, the two white belts that I was monitoring because they were doing back control stuff. I saw them starting to grab fingers, and they were also head cranking a little bit, and they weren't breathing. So I had to tell them breathe multiple times. Breathe.
And they're still not going to, but yeah.
But I said, okay, first of all, guys, be careful with the fingers, right? You can't grab individual fingers, grab whole fingers. And then between rounds, obviously they're starting with a seat belt,
yeah.
so their first instinct is immediately go for a choke, go for a strangle. I said, look, if you've got your forearm and stuff across the guy's face, you're not threatening them in terms of any sort of choke. You're going to be doing stuff that's perceived as being a dick. So in a street fight, by all means, do it. But here in the training room, apply your force when you have the technique position, not just a brute force position.
Yeah.
Because it could be. If you do that with other people will get angry at you. And I said that. Now, if you tell someone if you do this, people could get angry at you, and then they roll with Victor, hothead Victor over here. No, just kidding. They roll with Victor, and they start doing that, and he does it. They should at least know. It's like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Like, I can't protect you. I told you. These are the kind of like
that's the thing.
You know what's funny? I'm gonna go in a side story related to this.
Yes.
This was a while. I don't remember when it was, but we were in a fundamentals class, and Justin, our famous, very loved Justin, came over, right? And
JB?
Justin,
the guy who never
Justin Hansen.
Big Justin.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Head crank Justin, trash talker of the year. But
So he came to a gi fundamentals class at 8. I don't know why, or it was 6. I don't remember what it was, but he
probably
came to
got the schedule wrong, and he was like, whatever.
But he came to a gi class fundamentals. He never was the gi, so he always grapples with Coach Paul and stuff, right? So there was a group of white belts sitting on the wall, and he's going with Coach Paul, and Coach Paul says this a lot. Once you get comfortable, once you've been training for like years and years, and you have training partners that you get more competitive with, you can do like stupid shit because it's like each other. Like
like Nick Paul will like drive his knuckle.
Yeah,
in
like
your
sometimes
rib.
I'm going
like
Nick,
just shit like that, right?
I'm sometimes going no, and when we're going hard, we're just fucking with each other, right? So that's what Coach Paul and Justin do because they've been training forever.
That's probably the best example of that.
So they're like going crazy. Yeah. They're cranking their heads, and Justin's in Coach Paul's guard, and he's fucking cranking his head. And there's a group of white belts on the wall, and Justin's saying smart shit. That's funny. It's like, see, kids, you don't really need to. Just things like that. Hilarious. But again, brand new white belt on the wall. I remember that after that roll, I saw one. I can't remember who the guy was, but I saw another person doing that to within the white belt rolling. And I'm like, I think if you see people rolling really hard and you internalize that that's the norm, then you're gonna do it. And that's what the conversation that you're saying, the preemptive conversation, could prevent.
Yes.
But I thought it was really funny how you see these guys who've been training
people
for,
don't realize like how much of an example they're setting sometimes.
Yeah, so you see these guys, and I don't really give a shit. I think whatever, do whatever you want. And but I see Coach Paul and Justin who've been training forever, so they're just fucking each other up, right?
But they just don't know. But they also don't know that.
But
relationship
they don't
either.
know that once you meet somebody and you get competitive with somebody and you understand certain things, you can do that, but not early on in the stage.
Paul says that all the time.
Stranger.
He's like, oh yeah, I put my shin across his. I'm starting to get more comfortable with him, so I can put my shin across his throat.
Yeah, but you don't do that with a complete stranger. No, that's exactly. The thing. If you're a stranger, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, exactly. Right,
so that's the thing. But I thought it was funny how that happened because I looked at the next roll. One of those guys on the wall was fucking cranking and shit.
But I mean, in honesty, it's funny. It's a funny story, but it also has it talks about a serious implication here.
Moral of the story.
And this is something that Chris would be alarmed at. Is like, yeah, you do set an example. So if people,
but that's the
if
thing,
you see higher belts doing this and that you don't know the context behind it, like, yeah, we have an understanding that we fucking goon each other.
That's why you think. That's why you have that preemptive conversation. It's like, yeah, once you get more comfortable and that's you start meeting people and you get competitive, you're gonna start being gooning to each other.
And I also think at a secondary level, the etiquette, the etiquette conversation about where our school is, how our school is like, the culture of our school versus the culture of another school. That's another secondary etiquette, I think, conversation that's important. So that if these people find themselves in another jiu-jitsu environment, they know, hey, just because we do things this way doesn't mean this is how it's all. Yeah,
that's
you know. So you just like, this is how you tread with the most.
Feel out the floor. Feel
Yeah,
out the
this
audience.
is how you enter a school safely, you know, regardless of the school.
Don't heel hook 14-year-olds.
No, that's what I did.
No.
Yeah, he went for it first. I did not injure
No
the guy.
excuse. It's your
And he's a
responsibility.
good grappler.
He's good, but still.
yeah, I heel hooked it. I heel hooked that little fucker.
Word. Word. Hey,
He'll probably
man.
be there in December.
He's completely sober, folks.
Eric loved that one. Eric, I'll heel hook all of your
Holy
students.
shit, we've been talking for 2 hours? I just realized.
Yeah,
that.
dude, and you
Yeah.
haven't even finished your beer. You've been just to let you
'Cause
know.
I wanna drive
to put
home.
To put this in context, Victor has been drinking a single beer for 2 hours and 10 minutes, and
I
it's
wanna-
still
Literally the
not
equivalent
finished.
of 3 beers.
Because
though,
I want to
so-
drive home, man. I want to drive home.
Can't hang.
Shut the fuck up. Man, I'm not the one that got traumatized by Eli.
That's
I'm calling you out.
I was upchucking for a long time thanks to Eli.
That was bad.
Anyways, Chris, do you have any closing thoughts?
Oh, goddamn, this is delicious. I don't know how many
Did
times
you
I've
just
said that.
No, he's
I'm
still.
about to
he's
chug it.
Oh my god.
No,
Did you
no,
just
no.
do that
This is
entire half
really,
hour?
No, he
really
had another
tasty.
sip.
Okay, good.
This is really tasty.
Um,
I've said that too many
It's
times.
good to be
but
back.
It's really
it
good.
felt really good today. Like
Yeah.
I've missed the gym a lot.
Are you gonna be back now for sure?
Yeah, go ahead with that. We'll ease back into
Let's
the
just start
schedule.
with Muay Thai.
We'll ease back into it.
We'll start with Muay
Had
Thai.
you seen that half guard framing technique that he was talking about of switching to the other lapel, the near side lapel?
I do that. So, I mean,
Oh. Is that old school jiu-jitsu or is
that's actually it's a judo thing
That was really
I picked up
nice.
from doing
That was really
judo.
fun.
really?
Yeah.
How does the judo come into like being on the? You're on the feet though, so how does it translate?
The Niwaza
You got a
portion.
couple times. You got a couple minutes, a couple seconds in the ground if you get a nice.
No, now you're allowed like 2 minutes if you're active.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
So like I do that to escape side mount a lot of time. I don't know if you noticed, I do that all the time. Like I same side lapel grab and I stiff arm.
So you're trying to punch the collarbone with the near side. You're not like collar tying the head with
Yes,
the.
yeah.
Okay. Because those are the two variations Paul was talking about. You can you're going to the near side of the collar and you can either punch it, or you can go almost deep judo grip and almost use that to collar tie. You almost pull the
I was
gi up.
watching him do that. That's new to me. But like the same side collar grip with stiff arm is like I do that fairly
Okay.
That was cool.
regularly.
I really enjoyed that.
I don't know if the white belts appreciate it.
No,
but I
they didn't
certainly
get that
I
shit.
certainly fucking appreciate that.
They're still flopping over on their side.
Yeah.
I love
I
those.
appreciate
turn
that.
over off on its own.
What?
Where'd the music go?
Maybe
It might be a commercial or like a
or
Spotify.
maybe the thing actually like I know
Are
the
you still there? When
no
those things
yeah it
flop-
could have been that or
Oh,
the
those little
plug
messages.
is I know getting a little loose so it might have like slid out
Did
and
the
it
dog
might have
eat it?
died maybe
Nah.
good for the dog if
I
the
don't
dog
know,
ate
you
it
know, it's an old
but
tablet.
yeah Chris it was good to have you back.
It's good to be
It
back,
sucked that you missed promotions because
It-
you know
because I'm destroying my garage.
yeah that's pretty
Did you
low.
fix it? We didn't. did
It took
you
me
fix
45 minutes, but yeah, I fixed
Okay,
it.
okay. So yeah, whenever we got the answer.
Yeah,
just
I
ask me
fixed
if
it.
you
It
or not.
sucks, and it's
Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
All right, so where are we going to take Victor for his belated birthday dinner? We've given him
Well, we've
or meal. I don't know if
I've
it's-
celebrated.
When fucking buffets are back up. You eat sushi, right?
Yeah, I eat sushi.
Oh, okay. We'll go.
I've celebrated my birthday in promotions, which was it's an interesting night.
That
We'll have to
was-
A
get
lot of
you.
stories. A lot of stories in there.
I want to see the B-roll from Armand's camera.
Oh, God.
I do. I want to see it too. We always have the same debate about whether or not jiu-jitsu works on D1 athletes because Armand loves to say that it doesn't. But I mean,
He's like, have you ever grappled with a linebacker from a D1 program?
yeah, it's
bro,
so,
you
but
ain't getting anything on
literally
it.
every time in promotions, if there's somebody, if Armand gets like 2 drinks on him, he'll be like, "But guys, jiu-jitsu doesn't work."
And
that's
what's great
debate
is
start.
Chihuahua's like, bro, that's such bullshit, bro.
Last time we
point
had
of
Chihuahua.
jiu-jitsu is for somebody to survive, right? Like,
That was my point when we did it last time.
Ultimately, what
That
I
it's
think's
like-
going on is that Armand gets into frat houses and does like
fucking
grappling
Gracie-
like
breaths.
beautiful
Gracie-
jiu-jitsu
Gracie
against
challenges.
No, grappling breaths
He does
and
Gracie,
challenges
He does
Yeah,
Gracie challenges
with
in frat
people,
houses.
and he might have lost or struggled with a D1 athlete, and now he's like, guys, it doesn't work.
It's fun.
I mean, I can tell you, like, my limited judo versus a UCF football player who was like my height but outweighed me by like probably 30 pounds. Like, all he literally did was just like double collar tie and just shuck. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
My whole thing with Armani is like you said, the surviving thing. I feel like against a significantly bigger person, and that's not saying that much because I'm pretty small, but a significantly bigger person, I feel pretty confident that I could survive.
Because at least,
survive,
I mean, like,
you know?
that's the idea of martial arts in general, right? Like, especially if you're training for self-defense, is like, can it buy you enough time for you to parkour your way the fuck out of there?
Or even not even that. Like nowadays, like, can he buy you enough times for somebody to call the cops? And
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's
you know,
not
it's like,
just, I mean,
Jesus
like, how often does, like, we get sucked into this sort of, like, echo chamber of, like, jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu versus Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu versus this. But, like, ultimately, it's like, I learned jiu-jitsu because, like, I just want to get from getting pinned on the ground. Like, just shit like that, right? Like, I want to be able to technical stand-up, not get my fucking head caved in, and just get the fuck out of there.
But multiple opponents, Chris.
Oh, that's why we got Carl, man.
No,
Carl
that's why we got
stabbing
Carl,
one with
yeah.
the punch
Shoots
dagger.
everybody. Carl,
He's
man,
get the gun
when we
out,
go out,
double
next time
tap
we go
the
out,
other
you gotta
guy.
come with us.
Yeah.
That's what. Next time we go out, we need Carl with us because Carl just shoots people.
Dude, the best Carl story, it was, well, I say the best. The one time, oh, there it is. He's got him. Look at him.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, you are a savage.
You gotta be careful who you okay, as a general rule, if you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner, you gotta be fucking careful who the fuck do you shoot on, because if you shoot on Carl, you're getting stabbed.
I know. Carl's going to get you. But I remember we watched a movie. You weren't there, but Carl, myself, a couple other friends, we went out to a movie. Movie got out at like 12:30, so we're in the parking lot. It's not like...
You're safe.
No, I mean, it's not a ghetto part of town at all. It's a nice part of town. But, yeah, it is what it is. It's a place that was a little darker and stuff. And good old Carl, man, he established... We were having a conversation, and there were some sketchy people kind of like... There was a sketchy car with a sketchy guy going through sketch. Going through his trunk. And as Carl said, it looked like he wanted to throw someone in there. And Carl set up a little perimeter. Like, we were having our conversation, and Carl was participating in the conversation, but he had a clear line of sight of all potential bogeys or threats in the area.
Sheepdog response. What is that? Tim Kennedy's business? Sheepdog response or whatever. Oh, okay. Oh, and
All right,
it's not.
we're gonna have Carl like over.
Is that
all the
not?
different
Is that not like a good thing? I don't know.
I see it
on Instagram a lot.
No comment.
Oh my goodness! There's
it on
some sort of
Instagram
weird. Is Tim Kennedy? What is he like? Is he like
I'm
the
saying
Gracie
he
Academy
has this
of
thing,
like
and it
survivaling? Or
he pops up a lot in my explore page in Instagram. He has this thing. I think it's like a business or a brand or something.
Yeah.
That he teaches people how to like respond to crisis. I think. Again, I'm not adept in that world quite like Carl is,
Is it
so I don't know what the difference is.
tactical
between-
training is the term?
I guess that's what it is.
Like-
I don't know, but
Is that what it is?
but Carl seems a little
Some good
skeptical.
stuff on there, yeah.
Carl very reluctant.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very, very vague of you. Thank
Well,
you.
we're gonna have Carl. We're gonna feature Carl one episode
Very soon.
Carl is always in the podcast, but he's never mic'd up.
He's like
chooses to-
he's the
audience.
he's the Stan Lee
He's the
of
studio.
He's the gray man.
Yeah.
He's the gray man.
he's the Stan Lee cameo.
He's the
of-
studio
of
audience, but
our
we're
buddy.
gonna yeah.
I
we're-
listen to half live and then I listen to the other half.
Yeah, this guy. So then he can find out what if we cut anything out. He's like, oh, I remember when they talked about something in there that they cut.
We don't edit that much. And by we, I mean
I
you.
actually
So
will edit.
who edits you?
I
No?
don't do shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris is long
Chris
for
is
the
the
ride.
talent.
Oh, so you guys have the group project. You're the nerdy kid that does everything.
Chris is the
like-
talent. He just shows up
Chris is
game
the
day.
name, the black
he
belt.
doesn't do any preparation. He shows up on game day and just performs.
Chris is the black belt. The name.
I'm the
yeah.
Noah's the nerdy kid that does all
yeah.
the work.
Well, he's the black belt, so
Good point.
we're gonna have to.
Good point.
That's how it is. But anyway, we're gonna wind this down. We'll see everyone next week. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Chris?
You'll see me next week.
Yeah, it's good to
I
have.
don't know what day. I mean,
So you're
I
doing
mean
like
Saturdays,
Saturdays
for sure, right?
So you're doing
Okay.
like Saturdays mostly.
Yeah,
just
for
now?
sure.
Okay.
So it looks like I'm gonna be teaching every Saturday
Cool.
now.
Oh yeah.
Looks like
but now Paul's gonna be like,
Oh,
yeah.
Chris is back.
No,
Captain Krillin.
Exactly, man.
Well,
And I will see Victor Monday, right?
Who are you kidding? You're all gonna
I
see
thought
him
I was
tomorrow.
gonna dip out early, but we ended up talking for 2.5 hours almost. So, guys, this is cool.
All right, man. We'll catch you next week.